the North Division semifinals roll along, several players are coming to the forefront. In Game 1, it was John Casey who stopped 30 of 31 shots as the North Stars took the first game of the series. In Game 2, Blackhawk goaltender Eddie Belfour came on in relief of Greg Millen and shut out Minnesota in his first ever playoff performance. And Wayne Presley, who was scratched in the opening game of the series, exploded for 2 goals, including a shorthanded tally, as the Hawks made up a 3-goal deficit and scored 5 straight to beat Minnesota and tie the series at 1 game apiece. Tonight, live from the Met Center in Bloomington, Minnesota, Sports Channel presents the North Division semifinals, Game 3, featuring the Chicago Blackhawks against the Minnesota North Stars. Hello again, everybody. Pat Foley and Dale Talon inside the Met Center, along with what is going to be a packed house. We wondered the other night what sort of crowd reaction they'd get here in Minnesota with all the speculation about the future of the franchise. Well, they may be fair weather fans, but they're fans, and they have turned out here tonight. It's going to be standing room only. I'm sure that's going to excite the Minnesota team. What sort of mindset do you think Minnesota's in? They had a 1-0 lead. Could have maybe even buried the Blackhawks in the second game, let that one get away from them, but at least now they know they have home ice advantage.
Well, they know they have home ice, but they have a very young defense. I think they're very nervous, and I think they're a little doubtful after what happened. They realized they gave Chicago some new life when they had them down 3-0, didn't finish off the job. They had a wonderful opportunity to come home 2 games to none and have a big cushion and make it almost insurmountable for the Blackhawks. So I would think they have a little bit of doubt and a little tension in their locker room. Meanwhile, the Blackhawks are playing on the road, and I think that they will come out and hopefully play a smart first period, not take any dumb penalties, as was the case maybe in Game 2. They took a lot of retaliatory penalties. I'm surprised at the Hawks allowing the North Stars to get to them in certain instances, and let's hope that they'll keep their cool tonight and have a good first period.
In Game 2, Mike Keenan felt that it was the Buckers and Grinders that were going to get him from the 3-0 hole that they were in, and they indeed did that. Wayne Presley scoring 2 goals in the game, but the effort by Jocelyn Lemieux on the second goal he scored was just almost superhuman.
Well, he started at the inside part of the North Star blue line, went to the North Star corner, came back to the inside part of his blue line, deflected, made the pass to Presley. And Presley, who had an outstanding night, had his second goal of the night, a shorthanded goal, his 4th shorthanded goal of his playoff career, and 10th goal, and he really was an inspiration in that win.
Meanwhile, the Chicago team, Dennis Savard, their great star, played a lot in Game 1, but he was one of the victims of the bench cutting by Mike Keenan. Did not see a lot of ice in Game 2.
Well, he struggled a bit in the first period and didn't see the ice for much of the second, then got a couple of penalties and really was limited in his ice duties. You expect him to bounce back and have a great night. I think he was the best player in the ice in Game 1. He and Larmer both combined for 90% of the scoring chances for the Blackhawks. They were unable to finish, but Savard did score. He has over 100 points in his career in playoff competition, and he's been a great playoff performer throughout his career, and I think he'll bounce back in a big way.
And I think with the larger ice and the good ice here in the Met Center, that should be something that Dennis Savard will thrive on. Meanwhile, for the Minnesota North Stars, Brian Bellows scored their first 3 goals of the series, and he's somebody the Hawks really are going to have to pay attention to.
Well, really, 58 goals on the season, and he's a threat, especially on the power play. 21 goals on the power play, and there's been a lot of playoff power play action for both these teams, and both teams with 4 goals to the man advantage, but he has been more physical than I can remember him. He's been a leader, trying to instigate and trying to get him more involved physically as well.
A big topic of conversation in this series has been the officiating. 40 power plays between the two teams in only 2 games. And Terry Gregson in Game 1, Ron Hogarth in Game 2, calling it very tightly. Tonight we'll be looking at Bill McCreary for the officiating duties. Do you have any sort of a feel as to whether or not the real tight officiating will be continuing here in the Met Center?
Well, I think it'll be tight, but I don't think you'll see as many penalties called. That's what I'm thinking. I'm hoping that anyway, but a lot of penalties were unnecessary. I thought that some of the slashing and hooking penalties that were very, very marginal penalties were called. And, you know, when you have that number of penalty minutes in Game 2 with only 2 majors, it calls for a lot of penalties and hooking, interference, etc. Some unnecessary. It depends on the ice, timing, and position on the ice.
You expect one team to be complaining about officiating. In this series, both teams have lodged some unfriendly comments about the way the first 2 games were arbitred, and so we'll see how it goes here in Game 3 tonight. The Blackhawks and the North Stars will come back to get it started after this timeout. They're awfully excited here in the Met Center. They have not turned out season long. I think the Blackhawks at one point drew a standing room only crowd. That was about it as far as sellouts for the Minnesota franchise, but they're awfully excited here tonight as we get set for Game 3. Minnesota was terrific at home all year long. They had only 12 losses in their 40 home games, 26 wins and 2 ties, and their total of 54 points at home was exceeded by only 3 other teams in the NHL. Game 3 is about ready. Let's first enjoy the anthem.
Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Well, the Blackhawk fans in Chicago can consider themselves trendsetters. And the North Star fans trying to emulate the noise generated in Chicago Stadium. A good effort, but I think they fell a little bit short.
Way short. Greg Millen, 6 wins and 3 losses in playoff competition against these North Stars. He gets a start. He gave up 3 in the first period of Game 2. He has a .296 average lifetime against the North Stars. John Casey, 2-4 in playoff competition with 1 win against the Blackhawks. The other win came against St. Louis last year.
The man on the spot tonight with the striped shirt and the whistle will be Bill McCreary. The linesman veteran Ron Asseltine and Ron Finn. And here we go as Game 3 gets underway. Bob Murray got a big hit off the draw from Giles, but the Hawks able to dump it in. Comes around to the near side and cleared to center. Churla bumped by Lemieux, then McRae shoots it in. Bob Murray back in his own end, bounces one out to center, taken by Giles. He feeds Basil McRae, whose pass is picked off, and it's dumped back into the Minnesota zone. And McRae getting tangled up with the Chicago player as he was changing. But the play goes on as it's cleared back into the Chicago end. Heath Brown lets it roll out to center. Thomas bumped there by Tenorti. And Larry Murphy back into his own end. Cleared it to the near side. Hawks hold it in. Creighton behind the net trying to center. Casey blocked the pass. Now came loose to the near board. Taken by Ulf Dahlen. Brings it around to the far side, and Bellows is there. But he missed Murphy with a pass, and it slides free into the Chicago zone. Conroy took a hit from Neil Broughton, who's not normally a physical player, but he's trying to get things stirred up here in the first game in this building in the series. And the Hawks dump it in. Savard chasing to the far side, had to clear it behind the net. And Chambers rolled it to center ice. Brent Yanni bouncing it back in there. Chambers again. Cleared it around to the left wing board. Stuart Gavin. Gavin with room to center. Now crossing the Chicago line. In on Doug Wilson, who forced him into the near corner. And Savard took it away there. Now Secord bumped along the boards. Couldn't get it out. Gagne behind the net. Dave Gagne had it poke checked by Yanni. They duel in behind the Chicago goal. Came loose to Aaron Broughton. He's all alone behind the net. Broughton hanging on. There's going to be a penalty. Broughton is shot and a save by Millen. Rebound to the North Stars. However, the whistle sounds and the game's first penalty will be called here against Chicago. It's early. It is scoreless. This is Chicago Blackhawk hockey.
7 seconds to get the first power play. That's an eternity, the way these two teams have been going at it. But pressure in behind, Aaron Broughton in behind. Gavin held both by Wilson and Savard. McCreary puts the arm up as Aaron Broughton tried the stuff attempt.
Each team has 4 power play goals in the first 2 games of the series. Now Larry Murphy on the near side to Madonna, whose pass misses Neil Broughton. Lemieux hustling after it, but Broughton got there first at center ice. Now Murphy turning. Larry Murphy, the power play quarterback for Minnesota, almost threw an interception there. Now gets it back. Gave it to Bellows. He feeds Neil Broughton. Rolled it over the line. And it's cleared around to the near side, taken by Murphy. Deep slot, Neil Broughton put it to Bellows, centering, deflected away. Nice play by Manson, who read the cross-ice pass and deflected it before it got to Madonna. Now Murphy to Madonna on the near side, clearing it over the Hawk line. Gilbert poked it loose, but the North Stars keep it in. Now Bob Murray behind his own net, able to clear it back to the North Star line. Larry Murphy threw it out to center. Ulf Dahlen there for the North Stars, then lost it. Larmer in over the line, trying to center one, and he couldn't get it past Neil Broughton. Broughton with good work to steal it to Murphy, and 40 seconds are left on the North Star power play as they shoot it in. Aaron Broughton, far corner, took a hit from Brown, then dug out of there. Here's a centering pass, stolen away by the Hawks, and Gilbert clears it. Now Chambers back into the Chicago zone. Bumped by Brown on the far side. Then Aaron Broughton got to it. Broughton to the far point. Chambers to the far side, and Barber. Don Barber back to the line, and Chambers, his long wrist shot just missed the far post. Rebound off the post. And then Millen able to smother it. A rebound hack by Aaron Broughton as he was falling to the ice, and Greg Millen gets some help from the right post.
Still 8 seconds to go. The wrist shot from the point gets through. Misses, comes back off the end boards. Good job by Aaron Broughton. Great individual effort to spin around as he was going to the ice to swat at it, and he deflected it off the post. And Millen, diving back as well, was able to freeze it.
When you talked to Mike Keenan before the game, he was very careful about any lineup changes and talking about it, but he has made one change. He's got 7 defensemen dressed tonight. Both Bob Murray and Bob McGill are in the Chicago lineup. So 7 defensemen, the first time that I think Keenan, that might be the first time he's done that all year. I don't recall that ever happening before. Face-off will be in the Chicago zone. Now to the line, held in by Chambers. Long wrist shot. Millen the save. Rebound. Saunier couldn't get to the loose puck. Now Barber does. To the line, and Chambers. The Hawk penalty over. Both teams at full strength. Back of the net, Aaron Broughton centered it, and Barber just lost his balance and couldn't get to the centering pass. Savard the other way. Into the North Star zone. Tees it up. Shooting. Casey. Rebound. Casey again. Oh, what a brilliant save on an Adam Creighton rebound. After he made a good stop initially against Savard.
And Wilkinson comes in and gives Creighton a shove for what? I don't know. He had a legitimate rebound opportunity. Let the shot go, and Casey made the save. Well, that's one thing that I really disagree with in the first 2 games. Anytime anybody gets hit in a clean hit, there's always a scuffle after the whistle. In this situation, Savard drifts to his right, lets it go. Casey makes a save, rebound to Creighton. He lets his shot go. Whistle blows. Wilkinson comes in after the fact. What for? The Hawks kill off the power play. And then Wilkinson, after the fact, bumps into Creighton. Not going to do any good. It's just an exercise wasting energy.
Adam Creighton the last couple of games has been used as a winger by Mike Keenan as well as a centerman. He's out there now on the left side with Savard and Larmer.
He's trying to get Creighton going, trying to get some offense from him. He's had limited playoff experience in his career. With a great start, great first 50 games of the season, and struggled the last 20 or so.
already in the North Star zone. The draw, Creighton trying to push it ahead to himself, but got tied up by Musil behind the net. 4 players in there after it. Musil wants a whistle. Unable to get it to this point, as McCreary says play on. Now Larmer able to jam it out of there. Steve Larmer left it for Savard. Centered it. Creighton tip pass to Larmer. Oh, a good intention, but the pass didn't quite get completed. And it's cleared back into the Chicago zone. Taken by Manson. Now Yanni swings it around the boards. And taken by Tenorti at center ice. Got it back into the Chicago zone. Oh, and here's an awkward play by Dave Manson. Just got out-hustled by Modano. If Manson played the puck as he should have, he would have taken hits. So he let Modano go in there first so he could try to hit him, and instead he tripped him. Lazy penalty taken by Manson. No score in the game. This is Chicago Blackhawk hockey.
Taking some unnecessary penalties in that first period, especially which resulted in 3 North Star goals. Puck dumped in. Manson slows up and hooks Modano. He goes head first into the end boards, but Manson let up to try and take a piece of Modano.
Second power play of the game for the North Stars. It's Gagne with Barber and Aaron Broughton out in front here for Minnesota. Neil Broughton and Larry Murphy at the points. The draw to Neil Broughton. In the deep slot, he put it to Murphy near point. Back to Broughton. He hangs on, then slips it over to Don Barber, who shoots, and he missed the net. Gagne just missed redirecting that into an open side. And it winds up back at center ice. Neil Broughton almost had a problem with Troy Murray, but Broughton maintains control. And here comes Barber. He lost it at center, though. Now gets it back. Don Barber to the Hawk line. Rolled it in, but offside. And Keith Brown, seeing a good rush developing for Minnesota, did well to slow that rush down for a split second. That cost the North Stars an offside play.
Well, it was a gutsy move. The puck was halfway between him and the North Star player. And if he doesn't get to it, there's a whole open wing for Gagne on the far side. He just got enough of it in a close offside. A minute 27 remaining in the second straight power play. This the story of the series up to now. This will be the 20th power play of the series for the North Stars. The Hawks had 22 coming into tonight's action. 40 overall. So it doesn't leave much time for guys that don't kill penalties or play power play. A lot of sitting.
Here comes Larry Murphy. Murphy into the Chicago zone. Put it to the near side. Modano had it knocked loose by Conroy, but then Murphy keeps it in. Flips one toward the net. Millen steers it aside. Now Dowling in behind. Dowling trying to move in front. Just lost it at the last second. And Gilbert got it free to Conroy. He couldn't get it out. Murphy's pass hits the skate of Gilbert and trickles back to the neutral zone with just under a minute to go on the North Star power play. A Gilbert steal, moves in, shoots one. Casey got a piece with the right pad. As Gilbert able to victimize Bellows. Now Savard picks one off at center, feeding for Larmer, but he was in there just ahead of the play. And we get a whistle.
Brian Bellows coughing it up in his own zone. Gilbert picked it off, and Casey had to come up and bail him out with a pad save to the stick side. Gilbert stealing it on the backhand, drifted back to his forehand, cranked it up. Just getting a piece of the right pad and deflecting wide.
Half a minute to go on the North Star power play. Here's the draw to Wilkinson. Neil Wilkinson has room out to center ice. On a feed to Chambers, who gets to it. Shot it behind the net. Bellows poked it at Chambers' far corner. Back of the net to Bellows. Again to Chambers. Now Bellows to the deep slot for Wilkinson. His long shot. Millen the save with Aaron Broughton right in front of him, trying to redirect it. At the line, Chambers keeps it in, chipped it across to Wilkinson. He put it to Gagne near circle. Side of the net, Aaron Broughton centered it. Millen picked off the pass, and he's able to cover it up.
And Millen fully outstretched with the stick up against the post, trying to prevent the pass. Just deflected it up and fell on top of it. Wilkinson freezes Lemieux, fakes the shot. Good play by Wilkinson over to Gagne. Gagne past Yanni as Yanni moved ahead, and Broughton's attempt to get it out front to Bellows deflected right into Millen, and Millen freezes it with only 1 second remaining on the North Stars' second power play of the period.
Aaron Broughton inadvertently high stick by a teammate the other night in Chicago Stadium, sporting a shiner.
Brian Bellows' stick that got him. And then brother Neil got a misconduct, arguing the call.
Touched on it earlier, Dale. You expect one team to be upset with officiating in any sort of playoff situation, but what we've had here is both coaches being vocal about too many penalties being called, as vocal as they can be. Both Mike Keenan and Paget have been reluctant to say a whole lot for fear of getting some feedback from the league on it.
Well, can there be a fine for insinuation?
Well, if there is, they both got trouble. The penalty over now. Both teams are back at full strength. Here's Perry Berezan in his first game of the series, coming back from a broken nose. Couldn't get to it in the corner, though. The Hawks clear it to center. Tenorti has trouble with Savard. Then Murphy helped out. Tipped it to Berezan, who clears it to the center ice area. Wilson there. Wilson trying to feed Thomas. It hopped away from him. Now Bob Murray shot it into the North Star zone. Chambers back. Fires it around the boards. McRae clearing, not out yet, and it winds up in the far corner. Chambers, there's going to be a North Star penalty as Roenick was knocked down, and it's going to be an interference call coming up here on Shane Churla. 12 minutes to go, and a scoreless first period as we pause for a regional break. This is Chicago Blackhawk hockey.
Well, Basil McRae was hit cleanly by Jeremy Roenick along the far boards. Shane Churla came in and dumped Roenick because he took a hit at McRae. That's the type of situation that's happened more and more in the NHL. A cheap shot by Churla after McRae was hit cleanly. You can't hit anybody in this game anymore, and that's the problem. And Churla takes a stupid penalty, and the Blackhawks get their first power play.
4 out of 22 in the series. Here's Bob Murray. Murray to the deep slot. Wilson threw it to the far board. Thomas back to Murray at the line. Again to Wilson at the near point. Now Murray put it to Thomas, a one-timer. Casey the save, gave up a rebound, but Gavin's there, and he clears.
Excellent save there as Thomas got all of it with Roenick standing in front trying for a screen or a deflection.
Wilson puts it into the far corner. Duchesne around the boards for Chambers. Couldn't get it by Wilson. Here's a shot. Casey rebound. Trickling just wide of the far post. And Thomas couldn't quite get there, and now the North Stars clear it.
Doug Wilson, great job of gloving that clearing attempt by Chambers. It was a bullet. He gloved it and let it go, and it deflected just wide with Thomas on the doorstep.
A minute left on the Chicago power play. Duchesne back of his own net. Put it around the boards. Now came back to Duchesne. He's got a little time but failed to clear it. Weak backhand effort held in by Wilson. To Creighton centering. Picked off by Giles. He clears. Now Bob Murray. For Larmer on the move. Crossing the line. He's knocked down, taking a hip check from Chambers, and the North Stars clear it. Here comes Manson. He'll bang it in there. Casey able to stop it for Tenorti with plenty of time. No problem clearing that.
Well, they're very deep corners here. If you're going to dump it in, it can't be just around the boards. You got to be up high, because it takes forever to get around.
Hawks dump another one in. Back is Madonna. Couldn't get it out. Brown at the line. Had it hop away. Churla just out of the penalty box. racing in on Brown, turns on the far side, and then his pass stolen by Brown. Both teams now back at full strength. Here's Manson. Able to clear it to center, but Giles puts it right back in. Manson behind his own net, but on a delayed offside call now. We get a whistle. Halfway through the first period, there is no score. We pause for a regional break. This is Chicago Blackhawk hockey.
Blackhawks don't score on their first power play, but they get a couple of good chances. Doug Wilson intercepts a Chambers clearing attempt. The shot just deflected just wide of the post as Thomas attempted to get to it.
Now in the neutral zone, North Stars veteran Kurt Giles bouncing it into the Chicago end. Conroy hoisting one over everybody's head to the North Star line. Taken by 31-year-old Kurt Giles. Clearing to center. Bounce loose there to Presley over the line. Here's the shot. Casey, a blocker save as Presley got all of that. Now Dahlin got knocked off the puck by Thomas with a good hit. And Bob Murray beating Larmer at center. He got stopped there, but Murray carries on. Beating Savard over the line. Poke checked by Gavin. Back of the net it goes. Stuart Gavin chipped it loose along the boards. Gilbert held it into Larmer. Larmer turns on the far side, banked it to Bob Murray. Back to Larmer. Larmer in the corner now. Put it in front to Manson. Here's the shot. Casey to save the rebound. And Savard shot deflects to the corner. Where the North Stars look to clear. Manson kept it in. Now Tenorti able to push one to center ice. Dave Gagne crisscrossing over the Hawk line. Chipped it into the slot. Picked off by Manson. Dave Manson to Bob Murray. Now Troy Murray up the right wing boards for Sutter. Feeding Van Dorp over the line. One-on-one against Chambers. Forced him in behind. Then Van Dorp centered one. And the goal knocked off the moorings as they went crashing in there.
Well, Van Dorp with a nifty little move, trying to cut around the defenseman on his first shift. Went wide, tried to go to the backhand, was angled around, and they went crashing into the net. The Hawks with some good pressure the last couple of shifts, getting some good chances. Dave Manson lets one go. Casey let it go. The rebound just hacked at by Savard over the net. Prior to that, Presley had a good chance using the defenseman as a screen on a feed from Thomas.
So we'll have a face-off to the left of John Casey. Troy Murray with Sutter and Van Dorp out there now against Madano along with Barber and Berezan. Here's the draw taken by Perry Berezan. The ex-Calgary Flame shot it to center. Conroy puts it back in. Now Madano bouncing it back into the Chicago zone. Steve Conroy leaves it to Keith Brown around the board for Sutter. Couldn't get it out. Here's Madano, put it to the near side. Conroy, his clearing effort held into Barber, who shot deflects wide. And Sutter unable to clear it. Here's Chambers, a long shot deflected by Van Dorp over the glass and into the crowd. 7 minutes remaining in the first period. Still we have no score. This is Chicago Blackhawk hockey. Pat Foley and Dale Talon in the Met Center. Each team has had a couple of good scoring chances. So far, nothing in the net, though. And here's Presley clearing to the North Star line. Wilkinson got tied up. Thomas took it away. Has Presley coming. Thomas cutting in center one. Great play by Giles. Kurt Giles broke up a 2-on-1, and now the whistle sounds with a puck underneath him. And a little banging and crashing again after the whistle.
Well, Dahlin, of all people, comes in and rams Thomas from behind into the end boards after the whistle blew. Thomas trying to get it over to Presley. I think he rushed his pass, and Giles slid in front of it. Good play by Giles. who's had more playoff experience than any other North Star in his 83rd game in the playoff competition. And he comes through with a big defensive play as Thomas tried to get it to Presley. And I think Presley and... well, there should be 2 penalties here. There's got to be offsetting penalties. Presley is only going to get the only one to get the penalty. Giles goes down. Pass hits him in the arm. He slides under it. The whistle hadn't blown. Thomas takes a... puck wasn't frozen still. Dahlin runs into him. Presley comes in. And Presley gets the only penalty. Well, I don't know about that call. Well, the time of the penalty, 13:05, and the North Stars get their 3rd power play of the first period. Trying to draw up some sort of plan on the bench. Very busy with the pad and pencil behind the bench. Trademark of his former mentor, Bob Johnson.
Murphy shoots it in. Manson back of the net, swings it around the boards, held in by Murphy. Then Lemieux got to the near side, but unable to clear it. Back behind the net, Dahlin. Ulf Dahlin to the near board. Modano put it across the bellows to Broughton. A shot at the flex wide. Now Modano on the near side. Out to the line, Murphy. Gave it back to Modano, trying to put it in front. Picked off. But a great play by Broughton to center it. Millen! Greg Millen! The best save of the game. The puck winds up in the net. The whistle must have sounded. And a big scuffle going on around the Hog goal. The North Stars wonder if they've scored. No indication from Bill McCreary. I can't believe it if the whistle didn't sound there. Puck seemed to be lodged underneath Millen. After Neil Broughton made a miraculous effort to keep it in, looked like the Hawks were going to be off to the races the other way, and Broughton said no.
Well, Troy Murray mishandles it. Took his eye off the puck. Broughton kept it in. Millen all alone with Dahlin. Dahlin the backhander. Millen makes the save. The puck is under his pads for the longest time. Everyone he stopped, so obviously the whistle blew, and then the puck was put in, and the goal judge put the light in. Meanwhile, Manson's going to get the only penalty of this situation as Bellows comes in after the whistle to try and pry it loose. Manson gives him a glove, and a 2-man advantage now for 1:18. Well, if they had reason to complain in the first 2 games about the officiating, they're getting a lot more here.
Well, it's no goal, but the North Stars now have a 2-man advantage for 1:18. Well, I think there you have a situation where you have a player that's targeted.
No doubt about it. He got a misconduct the other night because he got hit in the face twice by Churla. Took the hits to take a penalty on Churla. He also got called for a penalty, got upset, banged a stick on the ice, and Hogarth whistled him off with a misconduct. All right, there should have been offsetting minor penalties on the Presley one, and their offsetting penalties as well. Because Bellows came in well after the whistle blew to hack at the goaltender. What's the defenseman supposed to do? You're supposed to protect your goaltender. That's an unwritten rule.
Look out now as the North Stars have a 2-man advantage. Here's the draw. Bellows centered it. Bob Murray steals, but his clearing effort to flex, and Neil Broughton kept it in. Broughton on the far side to the deep slot. Murphy put it to Modano, the one-timer. Millen got a piece with a glove. Rebound behind the net. Now Bob Murray had it knocked loose. Modano chipped it back of the goal. Bellows out to the line. Neil Broughton. Broughton to the deep slot. Put it to Murphy on the near side. Gave it back to Broughton. He centered it behind Modano. Now Murphy takes over near circle. Gave it up Broughton. Here's the shot. Millen rebound. Millen, what a save on Modano. Rebound. And a shot may have been stopped by Yanni there. Now the North Stars keep the heat on. Murphy to Neil Broughton. Back to Murphy. Again to Broughton. Put it across. Bellows to Murphy. The shot. Millen, another stand-up save. Now Bellows on the far board. To Dahlin in the corner. Gave it back to Bellows. He moves in. The shot is blocked by Larmer. Back of the net it goes. Taken now by Modano. North Stars, Modano with a two-man advantage trying to center one. Back to the line, and Murphy gave it to Modano, chipped it for Broughton. Larmer steals. Oh, man, out of the box. Larmer trying to stay onside, feeding ahead. Presley with one hand on his stick. He would have had a breakaway if he catches the pass, but he had one hand on his stick for some reason. And the potential breakaway slides away from him. Now a one-man advantage for Minnesota. Here comes Modano. Into the Hawk zone on Conroy, trying to center it. Barber. His shot is blocked by Brown. And Conroy cleared it to the North Star line. Just 10 seconds left on the Minnesota power play now. Chambers steps in. He's in. Chambers the shot. Dillon again. Rebound to Gilbert. He cleared. Not out. Held in by Wilkinson. A drive. Dillon again. The penalty is over. Both teams finally back at full strength. The Hawks trying to get a whistle if they can. Now it's still in the Chicago zone. Gilbert able to steal it. He cleared it ahead, and Presley will gladly take an icing here to get reorganized. But Chicago weathering a two-man disadvantage because of some terrific work from that man, Greg Millen. As a result, with 4 minutes to go in the first, still no score. This is Chicago Blackhawk hockey.
Yanked after giving up 3 in the first period the other night. 2 of them he had no chance on. The third one was a 3-on-1 he let go, but brilliant play here. Makes the save on Broughton, and on the rebound of Modano, and then Yanni might have saved one. Well, great goaltending by Greg Millen while the Blackhawks were 2 men short for over a minute.
There's an amazing stat for the Chicago team with two-man advantages that I'll give you in a second here. Here's the draw. Out to center comes Creighton, flipping it ahead. And Duchesne got in Thomas's way. He couldn't get there. It's cleared to the line, held in by Wilson. A shot. There's going to be a North Star penalty. Now Savard on the far side. Left it for Thomas. He centered it. Creighton. He's knocked down again, and now it's stolen by Tenorti. So the whistle sounds. And Chicago will head to a power play chance late in the first period. Blackhawks nothing, North Stars nothing. This is Chicago Blackhawk hockey.
Blackhawks will get their second power play after killing off 4 North Stars power plays. Creighton tries to get into a puck that was dumped in. He and Tenorti get their sticks up. Tenorti finally takes Creighton to the ice, and that's the interference call, one of the roughest interference calls you'll see. And then Creighton wouldn't let Tenorti go, but the Blackhawks' second power play, looking to get the first goal of the period.
Neil Broughton, however, comes out of the North Star zone, beating Gavin over the line. Gave it back to Broughton to his backhand. Now the shot blocked by Bob Murray, and out comes Thomas. Steve Thomas gave it to Dennis Savard, hacked away from him by Musil. Into the near corner it goes. Thomas got knocked down, taken away by Musil with time. He couldn't get it by Wilson at the far point. Into the corner, and Thomas gave it back to Wilson. Again to Thomas. Takes a look. Now tees it up. His shot stopped by Casey. Rebound to Savard behind the net, trying to center it. Stolen away by Gavin. Clearing.
Blackhawks with 2 men in front of the net. Both Creighton and Savard standing right there, making it easy for that one defenseman to cover them both.
Now Larmer over the North Star line. Offside is the call. I talked about two-man advantages in the course of the season. Listen to this. The Blackhawks, two-man advantage. They had it 14 times. Their opponents had it 22 times in regular season play. And yet the Hawks had 5 goals in the two-man situation. Their opponents had 1. Hawks were 5 out of 14 with a two-man opportunity. Their opponents 1 out of 22 with a two-man advantage.
Well, maybe that's why they get called against them a lot, because they know they can kill them.
The old "you got them right where you want them" ploy, huh? 45 seconds left on this Chicago power play. Doug Wilson bangs it in there. 2 minutes left in the opening scoreless period as the North Stars are able to clear it. Now Manson looking for Larmer. The pass intercepted, and it's cleared back the other way. Here comes Bob Murray. Minnesota pulling back, lining up 4 across at their line, forcing the Hawks to dump it in. Now Lemieux to the corner. Poked it in behind the net. Taken by Gagne with plenty of time. No problem clearing that. And the North Star penalty is over. Both teams now back at full strength. Blackhawks shoot it in. Chambers shot it around the boards. Taken by Modano. Leading Murphy on the move at center. Larry Murphy steps over the Hawk line. His centering pass picked off by Manson. And it caroms out to center for Lemieux. In over the line, drops it to Troy. Murray a shot, and Casey may have gotten a piece of that with the right pad. Now behind the North Star goal, Wilkinson. Into the final minute of the period as Don Barber comes in on the left wing boards on Brown. Shoots one. Brown deflecting it wide. Gathered in by Steve Thomas. He feeds Savard at center. Now Savard looking for Thomas. It bounced away from him. Now he gets to it on the near board. Shoots one. Casey rebound. Oh, kicked wide by Creighton. Twice in the period, Adam Creighton's had rebound opportunities. One stopped brilliantly by Casey. That time he chipped one wide. And here's an icing call coming against the North Stars with half a minute left to go in the period. Steve Thomas, the street player throughout his career. Thomas in this series with a goal and an assist. So in the last 16 games Steve Thomas has played, 10 goals and 18 points. Face-off will be to the right of John Casey. Now Ronick out there with Larmer and Sutter for Chicago. Dave Gagne's line for the North Stars with Aaron Broughton and Brian Bellows. Now here's the draw taken by Musil. He banks one to the Chicago line. Taken there by Larmer. Steve Larmer fought off a Gagne hit, trying to send it ahead. Picked off though by Chambers. Clearing it into the Chicago zone. Millen put it to the corner. Aaron Broughton after it there, but he's going to run out of time as the first period comes to an end here in the Met Center. Little discussion after the whistle, but everybody able to separate. And in the opening period, Chicago with 10 shots on goal and Minnesota with a like number, 10 apiece for the shots in a scoreless first period, but some terrific goaltending at either end of the ice. Millen, in particular, while the North Stars had a 2-man advantage, and a couple of great rebound stops by John Casey down at his end. So after 20 minutes of play, it's Chicago nothing and Minnesota nothing. News, weather, and sports coming up on the radio. On Sports Channel Dale, we'll have a visit with Wayne Presley, and then Mike Lederman is standing by in the Sports Channel studios back in Chicago. Scoreless after 1 in the Met Center. Met Center 10 shots each way, but 0 goals each way. Some terrific goaltending in that first period, and Dale is standing by with one of the stars of the Blackhawk come from behind victory.
Thank you very much, Patrick. And with Wayne Presley, and Wayne, you've got to feel a lot better after Game 2 of the playoffs than you did maybe after Game 1. Terrific performance. It's got to be a boost to your confidence.
Yeah, thank you, Dale. Yeah, sitting out that first game was really hard on me. I worked all year. I worked hard. I didn't play much, but I worked hard, and I thought I had a good shot at playing in the playoffs there after the 80th game. But Mike felt that he was going to go with the same lineup that we did the last couple of weeks, and unfortunately we didn't win, and I got a chance to play the next game, and I'm happy with my performance.
You seem to be saving your best for playoff competition, coming off a great playoff last year before you had the bad injury to the shoulder. What is it about playoff competition that brings the best out of you?
I don't know. It's the best time of year, I think, because it makes players, people recognize you more. And just playing in the playoffs is a great thrill. The adrenaline's always flowing, and it's just great to play.
What about these shorthanded goals? You're not known as a defensive forward. You're known as an offensive player, but you've been killing penalties. You have 4 shorthanded goals of the 10 in your playoff career.
Well, I feel I read the play well and anticipate what's going to happen, and that's an asset of mine. I'm getting lucky with the bounces. I remember last year one went off my knee and went in. That's not a pretty goal, but it's shorthanded, and I'll take it. Mike's starting to use me a little more, and I'm getting a little more confidence, and that's all you need is confidence to play this game.
Had a couple of chances in that first period. Good save by Casey, and the other one you were all alone. Thomas couldn't get you the puck. How do you feel about the overall performance so far?
Well, I think we played well. The refereeing was a little lopsided there, but we killed off the penalties. That gives us a boost, and it sort of drains them and their fans a little bit. So hopefully we can come out strong in this second period, come out hard for 5, first 5, and see what happens.
Was that a game plan to keep it close if you get through the first period tied or even ahead?
Well, this is the biggest crowd they've had all year, and we knew they were going to come out hopping, and the crowd would be rocking, and sure enough, they were. We survived the first 5 minutes. We had a couple good chances. We didn't bury them, and Casey's the kind of guy, if he gets hot on you, he's going to be hot all game, so we got to get to him early in the second.
Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
All right, Wayne Presley, our guest. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more after these messages.
A scoreless duel after 20 minutes of play here in the Met Center in Bloomington. A sold-out Met Center. They were ready to erupt a couple of times tonight, but Greg Millen, an outstanding first period, and John Casey was no slouch either at his end of the ice. And as we take a look at the first period highlights, Mike Modano had a great bid, but Millen stands tall.
Well, we thought there'd be fewer power plays, but I think I'm wrong again. But 5-on-3 situation for a minute 18. Broughton shot stop, and on the rebound to Modano, a dangerous sniper. He's been excellent on the power play this year, but Greg Millen standing up extremely well and challenging the shooters, and just outstanding. And then the best save might have been on Dahlin when Broughton intercepted the clearing attempt. Dahlin all alone in front. Dahlin goes to backhand. Millen kicks out with his left pad, but his right one is there, and it stays under him. And then the Bellows comes in and tries to hack it loose. Manson tries to protect the goaltender. He gets the lone penalty, and the North Stars had a 2-man advantage. At even strength, though, the Blackhawks had the better chances, and Wayne Presley, who had a good game in Game 2, uses the defenseman as a screen, and Casey, a good reaction after picking it up late with the blocker. So both goaltenders very alert.
This has got to be a very frustrating series for a guy who's played all 80 games and is not a member of any special team, because he's having a tough time getting on the ice.
Well, it really is. Everybody looks forward to competition and playoffs, and then you sit there the whole time. It's really discouraging, and let's hope that that period was less. There was less nonsense in that period than maybe all of the periods put together so far. So let's hope it stays in this way, and that McCurry lets them play hockey.
Through 20 minutes, it's the Blackhawks nothing and the North Stars nothing. We'll come back with second period action right after this timeout. Pat Foley and Dale Talon in the Met Center. No score heading into period 2.
Our next Blackhawk game on Sports Channel Tuesday at 7:30. The Hawks take on these same North Stars for Game 4. Join Pat and myself live from the Met Center at 7:30 on Sports Channel and 7:20 on BBM. The NHL is on Sports Channel. Our next league game coming up immediately following the Hawk Stars game from the Great Western Forum. The Flames and the LA Kings exclusively on Sports Channel. Your home for the NHL.
Ready for second period action in the Met Center. Each team with 10 shots in the opening period, and probably close to half of that number for each team would be considered good scoring opportunities. And Greg Millen at his end of the ice and John Casey at his, both outstanding in the opening 20 minutes of play. We welcome those of you on Sports Channel New York to the Met Center. Pat Foley with Dale Talon as the series is tied at 1 game each, and this game is tied at no goals each heading into the middle period. Now here the draw taken by Bob Murray. Murray clears it into the Minnesota zone, taken by Giles. Around the boards for McRae. He rolled it back into the Chicago end, taken by Manson. Got rid of Shane Churla, and now Manson works his way to center ice. Was hauled down there by Churla. He's going to get a penalty. And the Blackhawks will get an early power play here in the second period.
Dave Manson with a good move in behind his net to force Churla to go down, crashing into the boards, and Churla got back up. Manson reluctant to move the puck, stick handle casually up the ice. Churla caught up with him and hooked him from behind right to the backside. And the Blackhawks will get another power play. Second penalty of the game for Churla, and both of them unnecessary. First one was for interference, and that one for hooking. It could be high sticking. Well, they call it for high sticking. Could have been one or the other, but the Blackhawks on their third power play of the night did not score on their first two and really didn't get a lot going on either one of them. They had a couple of chances on long shots from the point.
It's Roenick with Thomas and Presley out in front here on this Hawk power play. Wilson and Bob Murray the point men. And here comes Wilson. North Stars again pull back to line up 4 across. Wilson forced to dump it in. Casey leaves for Tenorti. Cleared it to the far side. Gavin chips it away to Neil Broughton. In on Bob Murray on the far side. Broughton cuts for the net. Murray forced him in behind. Broughton doing well to rag the puck for a few seconds, and finally kicked out of there to Wilson. Gave it to Murray. Now Thomas rolls it into the North Star zone. Casey cleared it to the far side. Chambers with plenty of time clearing.
Well, no sense dumping the puck in at the blue line. That time everyone's standing still, not sure what Thomas is going to do. He just flipped it in and enabled the North Stars to get back in a hurry and clear.
Wilson with some room steps into the North Star zone. Leaves it for Larmer on the near side. Hacked loose to the corner. Taken by Savard. His pass deflecting. Now Larmer put it to the near point. Yanni. Trent Yanni moves to the deep slot. Had it swept away by Bellows. Corralled by the North Stars, and Duchesne clears it down all the way.
The Hawks in game 1, their power play not very good. 3 power play goals in game 2, but they had 13 chances. And not much going on in the first 3 power plays tonight.
Savard tries to change that, races over the line, then dropped it to Larmer, whose pass is deflected away, and Duchesne clears it. Now Trent Yanni flipping it into the Minnesota zone. Taken by Stuart Gavin. He's got time. He clears. No problem for the North Stars on that Chicago power play. The penalty over now, and both teams are back at full strength. And the puck hops over the boards into the Minnesota bench. It's early in the second period. It's Chicago nothing, Minnesota nothing.
The North Stars continue their excellent penalty killing on home ice. Throughout the regular season, they only allowed 24 goals against penalty killing.
Here's Adam Creighton into the Minnesota zone. Had his pocket picked by Larry Murphy. He slips it back into Chicago ice, and Conroy will have to chase back for it. Clearing it around the boards. Now Lemieux. A long wrist shot. Casey blocks it, then lost it, but it trickled in behind the net. Now Lemieux trying to center it. Came right back to him. Lemieux walks over to the far side, then puts it around the boards, but Gagne on it for Minnesota. Clearing it to the neutral area. Ulf Dahlen over the Hawk line has Gagne coming in. A great play by Troy Murray to steal that pass, or Gagne, Dahlen rather, was in. Now flipped high into the Chicago zone, taken by Troy Murray. For Brown on the near side to Creighton. He shot it to the North Star line. Don Barber back into Chicago territory. Now taken by Conroy. His pass slides free into the North Star zone. Now to the near corner. Presley whacked it in behind the net. Roenick rolled it loose for Thomas on the far side. Took a hit from Giles. Then Roenick dug it loose. Cleared it behind the goal. It's picked off there by Modano. He failed to clear it. Roenick the steal on his rookie counterpart. He was knocked down by Giles. Giles says McCreary stuck the leg out, and as a result, the Blackhawks are heading to the power play. 4 minutes in the second period. Still no score. This is Chicago Blackhawk hockey.
The Blackhawks get their third straight power play. They had one to end the first period and two here in the second period. Giles for upending Roenick. Roenick faked to his right, went back to his left, and Pitchfork spun around, and the penalty called by McCreary, and the Blackhawks now in the power play. 0 for 3. 4 for 25 in the entire series.
It's Savard, Larmer, and Presley in front. Again, Murray and Wilson at the points. Neil, Broughton, and Gavin have done yeoman work penalty killing for the North Stars in this series. Chambers and Tenorti on the North Star defense. Wilson back of his own net. Doug Wilson put it to Presley on right wing. Racing over the North Star line. Stops on the near side. Dropped it to Murray. Centered it. Larmer. Dropped it in front to Presley. Back to Larmer. And he moves it to the line. Bob Murray has room. Shoots one. Casey. The rebound to Neil Broughton. And then Broughton able to gain control and clear it to the neutral zone. Taken there by Doug Wilson. Gave it to Bob Murray. Back to Wilson. Wilson had it poke checked by Chambers. Unable to recover it in his own end. A minute left on the Chicago power play. Wilson feeding Presley over the line. He slipped it to Larmer on his backhand, turning on the near side. Back to the line, and Wilson far point. Up the boards to Savard. Side of the net to Presley. Centered Larmer. He couldn't connect to the one-timer. Bounced loose in front. Wilson kicked it to Savard. Here's the shot. And it's blocked in front. Trickling where Casey gloves it. Now takes a swing at the Chicago player in the goal mouth. And a big scuffle as the goal dislodged. And the linesman in there trying to get everybody separated after John Casey made the save. A straight right on either Larmer or Presley.
Casey started the mess and then sneaks out into the corner and skates away from it all. It should be a penalty on Casey without a doubt. That's the type of penalty that Manson got in the first period for doing it to Bellows. Traffic in front, kicked at by Wilson to Savard. Savard moving to the dot, let it go. Didn't get to the net. Deflected finally, and then Larmer pushed into Casey by Broughton, and then he takes a poke at him. It's got to be a penalty on Casey. You call it one way on Bellows or on Manson, you got to call it the same way on Casey. That clearly was a penalty.
Well, apparently Bill McCreary doesn't think so. Looks as if
that was as clear as day. What did Larmer do?
So still 43 seconds left to go on the Chicago power play. Wait a minute, we do have an announcement here.
Penalty to be served by the North Stars number 26, Sean Chambers.
Well, they do give Casey a roughing penalty.
That should be the way. There was only one infraction in that situation, and it was Casey. Hit Larmer on the side of the head with his right hand, which is the blocker.
Well, they still haven't racked up that second penalty on the clock yet. That's why we were unsure that there was one to be called, but McCreary does make the call, and the North Stars had a two-man advantage in the first period for 1:18. The Hawks get one here in the second for 43 seconds. Greg Millen was just brilliant during that two-man power play for Minnesota. Now this man, John Casey, will face the test of the Chicago power play. Now Creighton and Gavin to the right of Casey. Important here for Chicago to win this draw. Creighton did. Got it to Wilson at the line. Moves to the deep slot. Here's the long shot. Missed the net. Rebound. Chipped loose behind the goal. Roenick gathers it in. Near point to Savard. Slips it to Wilson far side. Wilson to the deep slot with it. Got it to Savard. Back to Wilson for Larmer side of the net. Shoots one and a save by Casey. Rebound cleared to the far corner. Roenick's there to Savard. Now Wilson, the long shot deflected right on Casey. Big save. Rebound scramble. Trickling in behind the net. Tenorti jammed it loose. Not out. Larmer got it to Wilson at the near point. Wilson across to Savard. He centered it. Larmer bouncing puck went up over his stick. Wilson now at the near point. The first penalty's over. Larmer a shot. Hit Casey in the head and deflected into the seats. And Bill McCreary signaling quickly for the Minnesota trainer to get on the ice. Casey blinking his eyes. At least there's the movement. But an anxious-looking referee, Bill McCreary, immediately signaling for the North Star trainer to get out there as Larmer ripped one right off the headgear of Casey.
Well, Larmer got all of that, and he was 10 feet from him. The North Stars kill off the first segment of the two-man advantage. Now a minute 13 remaining on the fifth power play of the Blackhawks. So both teams successful in killing off two-man advantages. The Blackhawks did it for a minute 18 seconds in the middle part of the first period. And Casey gets back up. He seemed to be all right after he got the shot. A pass from Wilson to Larmer. Larmer moves to the dot. Gets all of it. Tries to go high to the short side and hit Casey right dead on in the face mask.
Excedrin headache number 28.
Well, if it was those old-time masks that are flat to your face, he'd be in some serious trouble. But he's got a combination of the mask, the old mask with the cage in the eye area, and that, I think, saved him.
John Casey, not the biggest customer around, but he's pretty tough. He played in 61 regular season games for Minnesota. Only one goaltender in the league had a better Iron Man record than that. Kirk McLean in Vancouver had 63 appearances. So this fella, John Casey, can hang in there during tough times, and he looks as if he'll be quite all right from here on out. The first penalty over to the North Stars. Still a 1 minute 13 second Chicago advantage on the second Minnesota penalty. The broadcast rights to this game have been granted to Sports Channel and WBBM by the Chicago Blackhawks solely for the entertainment of our audience. Any reproduction or other use of this program without the consent of Sports Channel or WBBM radio in Chicago is prohibited. Face off to the left to Casey. Roenick, Presley, and Thomas in front. Savard and Wilson at the points. Here's the draw. Roenick won it to Wilson at the near point. Slips it to Savard. His pass stolen by Gavin. North Stars move 2-on-2. Gavin going to look for Neil Broughton. Now moves in shooting. Deflected wide by Wilson. Now Wilson bangs it into the North Star zone. Casey couldn't get it past Thomas to the far corner. Presley out to the line, and Wilson near point to Savard. Gave it back to Wilson. Far circle. Presley. Here's his shot. Blocked by the defenseman Giles. Presley has it again. Side of the net. Roenick trying to stuff it in. And a save by Casey. Rebound cleared to the far side. Presley to the deep slot, and Savard. Savard slipped it across to Wilson. Centered it. Thomas a shot. Blocked in front. The North Stars clear. Kurt Giles and Frantisek Musil with terrific work of the Minnesota defense, blocking two good Chicago shooting opportunities. Now Greg Gilbert out to center ice. Layering it in. He had not reached center, but the Hawks, Lemieux touches it first for no icing. Now came loose into the slot. Neil Broughton just out of the penalty box. Both teams at full strength. Here's Duchesne over the Hawk line. For Broughton on the far side. Rolled it behind the net. Taken there by Brian Bellows. Bellows trying to center a shot. Miller the save. Post to post brilliantly on Chambers, who snuck in there. Come to the near corner. Now North Stars able to keep it in. Neil Broughton in the corner. Able to jam it loose. Out to the line, held in by Tenorti. Back of the net to Bellows, trying to center one. Just missing Neil Broughton in front. Now Chambers to the far corner. Got hog-tied by Gilbert. And the goal knocked off the moorings well before Minnesota shot it into the net. And now on the far side, a Hawk player just got leveled. That was Lemieux. And we got a problem. Here goes Gilbert and along with Chambers. Their gloves are off. Gilbert got in one, so did Chambers. Chambers trying to get the uppercut going, and Gilbert comes through with a big right hand, and they tumble to the ice as the linesmen try to get in there. Everybody else is paired off. So far, nothing else developing. But it might not take very long. I think the North Stars were upset because they felt that Lemieux got the glove up in the face of Broughton here on the near side about 10 seconds ago, and after that last whistle, a couple of players taking exception to that, and after just one battle with fisticuffs in the first 2 games of the series, here we have a struggle here in Game 3.
Well, Lemieux was at the point. They got into a high sticking situation after the whistle, and Chambers came in and just leveled Lemieux from behind. And then the rest of the Blackhawks and the North Stars came in, and a fight between Chambers and Gilbert, and now Tenorti with his jersey off, and likewise a lot of grappling going on, but only one altercation as a result.
They had it separated, then Lemieux stepped in front of Tenorti, and they grapple once again. Bill McCreary keeping a close eye on all of this along the boards. And it's starting to look like finally everybody might get separated. And now they do. So a lot of work here for Bill McCreary. He'll consult with his linesman, and a host of penalties around the way. With 12 minutes to go in the second period, still Chicago nothing, Minnesota nothing. We pause for a regional break. This is Chicago Blackhawk hockey.
They got to get the first penalty. And the first messy situation of the night. Pretty good game up till now, and then the altercations occurred with Lemieux being run over from behind by Chambers, and then Gilbert and Chambers get involved, and then Tenorti in the box, Broughton in the box, and Chambers, Gilbert, Brown, and Lemieux in the Hawk side. Both teams, the North Stars had 4 power plays in the first period. The Hawks have had 3 in this second and 5 overall. Both teams have had a 2-man advantage, and neither team has scored. His last game was a record as far as penalty minutes for the North Stars in a playoff situation. Record number of penalty minutes. A game that lasted well over 3.5 hours. .807 the time of the infractions. 10 shots for the North Stars, all of those in the first period. The Hawks was 16, but they've had most of the period with the power play. St. Louis 4-3 over Toronto in the third period. The Blues looking to go ahead 3-0 in that series. Edmonton, Winnipeg 1-1 the first matchup at the arena in Winnipeg.
Boy, how's parity in the National Hockey League? 8 series going on, and in only 2 of the 8 did the home team win the first 2 games at home, which they would have been expected to do. All the other 6 series are at 1 game apiece. So it looks as if maybe all the penalties are going to wash out here.
A minor penalty for unsportsmanlike conduct. On the North Stars, number 24, Mark Tenorti, a minor penalty for unsportsmanlike conduct and a 10-minute misconduct penalty. Again, the time of the penalty is 8:07.
So both teams lose the services of their excellent defenseman. Brown will be gone for the misconduct. Tenorti for 2 in the 10-minute misconduct. With no power plays as a result, just loss of manpower for a long period of time on the blue line. The Hawks started the game with 7 defensemen. Well, we came to the building about 5 o'clock this afternoon, and the parking lot was jammed. These North Star fans, tailgating parties all over, frisbee throwing, baseball throws, football. It was good to see. This franchise really needs a boost.
I thought I was going to lose you for our pregame show. You were ready to go out there and give a few golf lessons. Make a little on the side.
I don't play golf till the courses are green and the grass is yellow up here still. Hawks with 6 shots here in the second period, but they've had 3 power plays in the first 8 minutes. North Stars without a shot, but they've done a great job of killing penalties, and Casey's been brilliant as well. He said the North Stars terrific this year killing penalties on home ice. Of the 75 goals they gave up, 24 of them on home ice.
Here's Doug Wilson for Trent Yanni to center. He puts it in. Wilkinson gave it to Giles. Bouncing it back into the Chicago zone. Yanni got yanked down by Aaron Broughton, who gets to the loose puck. Then Yanni bumped him in the corner. Then Gagne dug it out. Center one tip. Millen, great save on Gavin. And out comes Savard. Dennis Savard putting Larmer over the line on the right wing boards. Turning in the near corner. Got knocked down there by Giles. And it's shot back into the Chicago end. Taken by Doug Wilson. Wilson ahead to Larmer. Had it knocked off his stick, but Wilson carries on. Gave it to Larmer on the left wing boards. He bangs it in. Gaetan Duchesne wheels out for the North Star. Duchesne racing in over the Hawk line. Got tied up in traffic. Taken away by Yanni, who pushes it out to center. Musil has it there. To Duchesne over the line. And Thomas with a steal. Steve Thomas in on Musil on the far side, trying to center one, and the Hawks are ruled offside on the play. Almost halfway through regulation time in this hockey game. The goaltenders pitching shutout.
And they've been busy. It's not like they haven't had any work. Blackhawks with a lot more experience probably than the North Stars coming into the playoff competition. Bob Murray, Secord, and Savard, 3 fellows with a lot of games that have never been to a Stanley Cup final. Bob Murray has played over 1,000 games in regular season play. 98 in playoff competition. Secord with 93 and Savard with 82. This is a year you can't afford to keep letting chances slip by. The Hawks need to take advantage of this year. They've got the talent and the work ethic to do it. The North Stars trying to put a stop to it, trying to take a page out of the Blackhawk book last year, where the Blackhawks knocked off the first place Detroit Red Wings. The North Stars trying to do it here in this round. They're splitting the series in Chicago, looking to take a 2-1 lead here in front of a packed house.
Here's Steve Conroy. Banging it into the North Star zone. Berezan got run over by Presley. Roenick stole it, but his pass deflects, and Berezan back on his feet, able to roll it out to center ice. Hawks throw it in from there. Wilkinson back of his own goal to Giles. Kurt Giles gave it to Wilkinson at center. Cranks it into the Chicago zone. Millen whiffed on it, but it sailed just wide of the far post. Now back of the goal, Don Barber, knocked down by Creighton there. They both hit the deck. A scuffle in the far corner. Creighton looks like he wants a whistle. Now makes a hand pass to Thomas, and the Hawks get it out. And the fans screaming for a penalty. I wonder what they want to be called there. Now here's Sutter clearing to the North Star line. Wilkinson there. Wilkinson to Bellows. Now Musil. leading for Modano, and he was unable to field the pass cleanly. It results in an offside call. 9 minutes remaining in the second period. Hawks nothing, Stars nothing. We pause for a regional break. This is Chicago Blackhawk hockey. Pat Foley and Dale Talon in the Met Center, where the Hawks and the North Stars are locked in a scoreless duel halfway through regulation time. Now here's the draw. Taken by Doug Wilson, ahead to Larmer on right wing. Chambers tied him up as center, then Van Dorp got to it, steps over the North Star line, shoots one. Casey the save, Gavin the rebound. Stuart Gavin now wheels out of there for Minnesota, racing in over the Hawk line, dropped it to Aaron Broughton, centered one. Gagne, his shot deflects wide, and there's going to be a Hawk penalty coming up. Gavin trying to center one, deflected in front. Murphy couldn't find the bouncing puck. Aaron Broughton does. Wilson put the clamps on him. Larmer gets to the loose disc, and the North Stars are going to head to the power play. It's still Chicago nothing, Minnesota nothing. This is Chicago Blackhawk hockey.
Steve Larmer for holding in a back-checking roll. He pulled down a North Star player. He had a step on him. Stuart Gavin, good rush up the ice. Over to Aaron Broughton. Gagne's open, but he's pulled down at the last second as his shot is deflected wide. Larmer goes to the box for holding. And the North Stars on their 5th power play. Both teams now with 5.
Modano and Troy Murray to the left of Millen. Now the draw. Murray won it to Yanni. Trent Yanni got it to Lemieux, and he clears it out to center ice. Here comes Brian Bellows. Nearly lost it at center. Then Neil Broughton got it to Bellows over the Chicago line. Center one. Here's a shot. And it hit the side of the net. Modano ripped a one-timer just outside the far post. And a scramble along the boards. It's held there long enough to get a whistle.
Well, Modano just missing. But Millen, I think, would have been there. Good movement by Millen on that blast from Modano, who likes to let it rip from that far side. He was first in rookie power play goals with 12 this year. He's not afraid to pull the trigger. And he got all of it, but it just hit the side of the net. Modano leading rookies in that category with 12 on the power play. 4th in shots overall with 172.
Again, Troy Murray and Modano, well, not anymore. Murray tossed out of there, wants to know why. Ron Finn says, I don't need to tell you, get out of here. Lemieux will come in on Modano. Gosselin Lemieux's never killed penalties before he came to the Chicago Blackhawks. Mike Keenan giving him a chance to do that, and boy, in this series, you're going to get a lot of ice time if you're on a penalty killing team. Here's the play in the Hawk zone. Dahlin for Bellows, trying to center it, picked out of midair by Yanni, and the Hawks then clear it. Trent Yanni, ankle high pass, batted it right out of midair brilliantly. Here comes Modano, steps over the Chicago line. Here's the shot. Millen with the glove, and he hangs on to it. And Bellows with a few angry words for Millen as he came to the net looking for a rebound. Millen made the glove save, held it out to make sure the whistle sounded, and Bellows a little off balance when he came to Millen.
Well, with these new goalposts, the goaltenders have really been taking a pounding this year, and I think Millen just, after making a terrific save, good effort by Modano to spring loose and let it go, and right into the glove hand, the right-handed catch by Millen, and then he put the glove up right into Bellows, who was streaking in. But with the advent of these new posts, players taking more liberties. They're going to the net more and more because they're not afraid of them anymore as they were in the past with the old posts. And then, as a result, the goaltenders have been getting run over with regularity. Minute 3 remaining on the holding penalty to Larmer. North Stars' 5th power play of the night with 51 goals throughout the regular season on home ice. So both special teams excellent here at home.
Chambers at the line, the long shot. Millen kicked it away with a left pad. Rebound cleared in front, up over the stick of Aaron Broughton. Out to the line, Chambers. Across to the far side, a shot deflecting. Savard racing. One-on-one with Chambers. Savard over the line. Chambers played him well with a body, and Savard couldn't get around him. Half a minute to go on the North Star power play. Here's Presley over the Minnesota line. Wilkinson took him off the puck with a nice hit. Out comes Berezan. Feeding Chambers into the Hawk zone around Manson. Fires! And a save by Millen. Rebound to the far board. Presley a big hit. Knocked Wilkinson down, but he held it in, then centered one. At the feet of Gagne, couldn't locate it. Savard does, and he cleared it out to center ice. Bellows forced to turn as the Chicago penalty expires. Now both teams are back at full strength. Manson deep in his own end. Got it to center. Presley battles his way over the line on Dahlen. Presley still has it. The shot blocked and out in front by Musil, who clears. Wilson got it to Larmer at center ice, putting Lemieux over the line. Lemieux to the corner on Musil, turns in behind the net, centered one. Here's Larmer, the turnaround shot blocked by Murphy. Out come the North Stars. Murphy to Musil. Flips it in behind the Chicago net. Wilson to Roenick. Now Larmer back to Jeremy Roenick. Steps over the North Star line. Leaves for Manson. Shooting it around the boards as Chicago changes players. Here comes Chambers. Got it to center. Taken there by Greg Gilbert. He bangs it in. Murphy to Modano. Mike Modano couldn't get away from Gilbert, and it's shot back into the North Star zone. Here comes Larry Murphy in over the Hawk line on a pick play. He moves to the far corner, centered it just too far for Barber in the slot. And here comes Gilbert back for Chicago. 2-on-2 over the North Star line. Greg Gilbert to Adam Creighton with a shot blocked by Duchesne in front. Now Thomas with a long shot. That didn't get past Musil. We've played 35 minutes of scoreless hockey here in the Met Center in Game 3. Now the North Stars, Modano. Bounce it loose to Musil. Steps over the Hawk line for Modano, centering. Yoni! Great play to break up that pass. Good read by Trent Yoni, and the North Stars never got a chance. Here's Van Dorp the other way, a long shot. And he shot that one wide. And they're going end to end here in the Met Center. No whistles the last 4 or 5 minutes. This might be the longest sequence of the series without a whistle. And having just said that, of course, we get a stop. And now a little scuffling in front of the Minnesota bench. And now it's out beyond that. Here's Sutter, tackled by Don Barber. And they went down once, they got up, and now they go down again. And the linesman getting in there to try to separate him. I did not see a punch thrown in that particular situation. Van Dorp and Wilkinson with some angry words, and that's all for now. And referee McCreary right in between. Penalties on the way. 4.5 minutes to go in the second period. Still Chicago nothing, Minnesota nothing. It's the Chicago Blackhawk hockey. What?
Oh, we had 4 or 5 minutes of straight hockey action, the longest stretch probably in the first 3 games of the series. And right at the end of it, an altercation. What else? Penalties coming at 15:26 of period 2. Barber and Sutter offsetting penalties. Al Secord a rare shift. Didn't see much action in game 2, and I think only his second shift here in game 3.
Here's the draw at center ice, taken by Trent Yoni. His pass deflecting. Aaron Broughton over the line goes down, and McCreary says it was a dive. No whistle, and here comes Larmer. As Secord on the left side, but Larmer gains the line himself, then dropped it to Secord, whose shot deflects up over the glass and into the crowd.
Tough situation when you're sitting on the bench most of the first period and a lot of the second. Go out there and tough to get loose. He tried to take the long shot from just inside the blue line on the feed from Larmer, but we had it deflected.
Second straight year that Steve Larmer has led the Blackhawks in scoring. In each of those seasons, Dennis Savard missed 20 and 22 games respectively, but still not to diminish the terrific play of Steve Larmer. And probably the best thing about Larmer, first of all, he's there every night, home and road, but second of all, he's a better all-around player than most of the 90-point-plus scorers in the league. Here's the play in the North Star zone. Back of the net, Chambers. Shot it to the near side. And it trickled out to center ice. Greg Gilbert had it taken away. And Wilson stood up Gagne along the boards. Now it's corralled by Trent Yanni. Flipped it to Savard. Works it over the North Star line. Savard trying to move up the slot, but it's hacked off his stick, and Musil rolled it out to the center ice area. Blackhawks throw it right back in there. Taken by Chambers. They gave it away. Roenick in. Hit the goal post. Chambers gave it away to Roenick, who was in alone on Casey. Shot it by him, but off the post. And the scoreless tie continues. Here's Bellows in, shooting one. He hit the side of the Hawk net. Dowling with a shot. That's blocked by Bob Murray. And he rolled it out to center ice. Now cleared behind the Chicago net. Bob Murray cleared it to the neutral area. Giles chopped at it, and Conroy back into his own territory. To the far side, Thomas got it to the center ice zone. And off the play, a little stick work, I think, with Presley and Murphy. And they're both going to be sent off here with under 3 minutes to go in period 2. Still no score. This is Chicago Blackhawk hockey.
Well, Presley and Murphy offsetting minor penalties at 17-17. Meanwhile, Chambers goes up the middle. Good read by Roenick. Picks it off, shoots. Casey gets beaten, but his best friend, the goalpost. And Roenick shot in and out off the post. And it's still scoreless with 2:43 to go in the second period.
Without that right goalpost behind John Casey, this game would be tied at 1. Minnesota hit the same pipe in the first period. The Hawks hit it here in the second. Here's the draw shot into the Chicago zone. Manson around the boards of Lemieux. Run over by Duchesne. Held in a long shot. Millen the save. Rebound to Chicago's Yanni. Good clean hit by Duchesne. He just leveled Lemieux along the boards, and that allowed Minnesota to keep it in. Now the Hawks clear it to center ice. Gaetan Duchesne puts it back in. Manson behind the net. Trying to feed Troy Murray. Missed him by 6 feet. Now winds up in the North Star zone on the stick of Chambers. 2 minutes left to go in the period. Here's Gilbert over the line to Wilson, looking for Savard. It hopped loose into the corner. Now taken by Wilson at the line. Here's the long shot. Didn't get through. And Musil failed to get it out. Now held in by Wilson. Here's the shot. It's blocked and winds up back at center ice. Greg Gilbert. His pass deflecting to Gagne. Feeding ahead to Aaron Broughton. Turning on the near board. Broughton looks for help. Now rolled to the corner. Gagne. Gagne centered it. Deflecting it out in front to Larmer. And Steve Larmer slides it down into the North Star end of the ice. Neil Wilkinson for Minnesota. Long feed. Came loose at center as Gavin couldn't hold it. Now Aaron Broughton feeding ahead. Gagne unable to get to a loose puck. And back back of his own net, Bob Murray. Under a minute to go in the second period. There's Brian Bellows into the Chicago zone, trying to center one, deflecting to Secord. Al Secord puts Roenick to center. He flips it in. Half a minute left in the period. Bellows turning and bouncing it out to the neutral area. Now captured there by Wilkinson. Works to the Hawk line. Lost it, but Neil Broughton carries on. Gains the Hawk line, but too late as Bellows had stepped in there offside on the play.
Finally, some flow to a game. The last half of this second period has gone end to end. Very few whistles. And one of the best games so far of the three. Scoreless. Both teams with the same number of shots on goal. And about equal number of chances. I think maybe the Hawks might have had one or two more. Jeremy Roenick stealing one, hitting the post. But the Hawks had more power play action in the early part of the period, and that's why they probably had one or two more chances.
Seconds left in the period. Here's the draw to Giles. Clearing it in. Yanni to Bob Murray. Up the right wing boards for Larmer. Giles tied him up. Then Broughton held it in, but he'll run out of time as the second period comes to an end. And just as was the case in period one, everything identical in period two. Each team had 10 shots in the first. Each team had 7 shots in the second. So 17 each through 40 minutes of scoreless hockey here in the Met Center. This is old-time hockey to some extent. Most of the playoff games in years gone by would be low-scoring variety, and this certainly is right in that category. News, weather, and sports coming up on WBBM on Sports Channel. Coach's Corner, and then we'll send you back to our Chicago studios for Mike Lederman. At the end of 40 minutes, Chicago nothing, Minnesota nothing.
The Coach's Corner. With me, obviously, the coach of the Blackhawks, Mike Keenan. Mike, a lot of talk in the press, a lot of media hype about the penalty situations in the first two games. You got to be getting tired of that.
I think it's just a little overreaction by the officiating, to tell you the truth, and I'll be quite candid about it. We were told that the games would be official as the season games were, and quite frankly, I think it's been an overreaction of the officials. We've had 50 power plays in 2 games, and quite frankly, I think that both teams have legitimate complaints, and that probably half the infractions weren't infractions. So I get a little bit of a red flag up by someone in the officiating staff, and we'll just have to deal with it.
What about the power play itself? You struggled in game one, got 3 power play goals in the second game, but the percentage wasn't the greatest. So what needs to be done to keep that going or improve it?
Well, I think that the percentage is a little bit misleading. If you look at the things we just talked about, there were many power plays that were 5 and 10 seconds long for both clubs. So I think you can throw that stat right out the window as far as that's concerned. Both clubs scored a power play goal in game one. Both clubs scored 3 power play goals in game two. For 50 chances, I guess it's not bad. Considering a lot of power plays were disjointed, not only by offsetting penalties, but by being called at the end of periods. And I know that Minnesota, for example, had 2 penalties at the end of periods that were split, which are a little bit more difficult. So I think that I'm hoping the officials will settle down and call it as they did during the regular season.
I know the North Stars were happy to get a split, but having a 3-0 lead and a chance to knock you out and really make it difficult for you, and then the team comes from behind, that's really got to be a big plus for you in Game 3.
Well, there are not many teams in the league that are going to come from a 3-0 deficit and come back and win by scoring 5 unanswered goals. I think it was a credit to our club in terms of the emotional impact that they could develop in the stadium, and at the same time to the role players, the grinders, if you like, that came in and got the job done. In a series like this, it's tough on the finesse players because they're being watched so closely, and usually it's the unsung hero ends up being a grinder that no one pays attention to because he has a lot more chances.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
All right, back to Mike Lederman.
40 minutes gone now in the Met Center, and the Blackhawks of the North Stars still looking for the first goal of the game. They've not been without chances, 17 shots for either side, and I would say probably close to half of that number for each team it would be considered a pretty good scoring chance.
That's exactly right, but one of the better periods of the playoff series, both teams with some end-to-end action finally. The Hawks had 3 power plays to start, a 2-man advantage, and I'm surprised in the 2-man advantage didn't get better shot selection. But overall, a pretty good period. Both teams with about an equal number of chances at even strength especially, and one of the better games of the 3 games. It should be an exciting third period, but good chances at either end. Jeremy Roenick late in the period with a chance to break the scoreless draw. Chambers makes the pass up the middle. Good read by Roenick. Picks it off. Beats Casey, but hits the post, and the puck deflects away from Roenick. Best scoring chance of the period for Roenick. The other end, Modano breaks through the middle on a power play. Modano looking for his first playoff goal ever. Good wrist shot, but a terrific save by Greg Millen, his best save of the period. So good work by both goaltenders. Good penalty killing. Solid defensive work on both sides.
Any series that would be tied 1 game each and a tie game going into the third period of Game 3 is going to be a tension-filled third period. Does the fact that there hasn't been a goal scored, does that make it even more tense in any way?
It really does, especially some of the things that have happened. A couple of goal posts, a couple of good scoring chances, some great saves. It really does add a little more intensity, more tension to the game. And who's going to score, and what do we have to do to score? Both teams are second-guessing themselves on the few chances that they've gotten, and they haven't been able to capitalize on them. And they'll be a little tighter when they do get a chance in the third period.
Which ought to be a dandy period, and we'll have it for you when we come back. It's 0-0 after 2.
After 2 periods of play. For our Chicago viewers, our next Bulls game on Sports Channel Friday at 7:30. The Bulls host the Milwaukee Bucks. Live from the Chicago Stadium, the Bulls and the Bucks on Sports Channel.
Pat Foley and Dale Talon in the Met Center in Bloomington, Minnesota. Game 3, scoreless heading into the third period. Hang on to your hats and the ladies. Here's the draw. Dumped into the North Star zone. Larmer gives chase. Centered one. Deflected loose. Larmer has it again. Then shoots. And it deflected just through the goal crease. Winds up over on the far side. Musil trying to clear. Hawks able to hold it in, though. Back of the net is Chambers. Savard stepped in him. It squirts loose to Gilbert. Gilbert turning on the near side. Trying to make a pass from there, but it winds up on the stick of Gagne. Out to Chambers. Chambers cranks a long shot. Millen drops it down for Trent Yanni. And Yanni clears it into the Minnesota end of the ice. Chambers around the boards on an open wing. Hawks hold it in, but Troy Murray failed to control it. And out comes Bellows. Bellows coughed it up to Bob Murray, trying to feed Troy Murray, but he couldn't hang on to the pass. Now Neil Broughton out to center for Bellows. Gets it over the Hawk line, threw it across to the near board, and it's captured there by Troy Murray, who shot it back the other way. Icing waved off, so Larry Murphy will have to play it. Murphy nearly gave it away to Roenick, but managed to sweep it out to center. Bellows. His pass broken up. Conroy sends it ahead, but it's deflecting at center and finally winds up in the North Star zone to Presley. Shoots from a bad angle. Casey kicks it out. Now Wilson held it in, but not for long as the North Star is able to clear it back to center ice. Now Thomas battles away from Giles in the North Star zone. Shoots one, and Casey with a blocker save. And it's cleared to center. Larmer has it there. Modano poke checked it, but it popped up over the boards into the bench area. So the play is stopped. A sold-out Met Center tonight, 15,196 on hand here tonight. A very rare sellout for the Minnesota franchise this season. Dale, the last I heard, there was supposed to be some sort of an announcement tomorrow about the future of the franchise. I don't know whether that still holds or not. But a lot of...
well, if they make an announcement that the team's moving, it's going to could have a very negative effect on the team. I think the timing of it is poor. Maybe they'll announce. I would think if they're going to make an announcement tomorrow, it'll be on the positive side that they're going to stay here to try and give the team a little more positive feedback.
Maybe they'll announce that there will be an announcement in a week. Now here's the draw. Aaron Broughton looks for Tenorti, gets him to the line, but Larmer stopped him there. Now Doug Wilson picks it up, clears it into the North Star zone. Taken by Tenorti. Got it to the near corner. Larmer after it there for the Hawks. Center it. Creighton all alone shooting. Casey the save. And he hangs on. Adam Creighton has had 3 good scoring chances tonight. Unable to dent the net as yet. Early in the third, still no score. This is Chicago Blackhawk hockey.
On Casey come in with a save. Steve Larmer gets the puck in the corner. Creighton at the dot. Lets it go, but waist-high shot. Casey makes the save and then pounces on the rebound. Neither one of these teams have done really well when tied after 2. North Stars are 2-10-1 when tied after 2. Blackhawks for 5-7-4.
Ralph Dahlen rolled to center ice. Brown there. Battled it back into the North Star zone. Taken by Giles. Cleared it to Duchesne on the left side. Here comes Minnesota 3-on-2. Murphy to Duchesne over the line. Back to Murphy. His shot. Filling the save. Rebound to Chicago. And Lemieux cleared it to center. There have been very few odd man rushes for either team tonight. That a rare occurrence for the North Star. Here come the North Stars. Tenorti shot off the side of the goal. Came loose to the line. Duchesne golfed it up high off the glass. And it's controlled by Manson. Manson got Pocek, failed to clear it. Dahlen moving in. His shot blocked by Brown. Now into the near corner. Dahlen trying to pry it out of there. He did. Bellows a shot, and Manson able to deflect that wide of the net. Now Manson rolled it ahead for Jeremy Roenick. 2-on-2. Roenick with Thomas over the line. Left it for him. Thomas's shot didn't get through as Barber stepped in front of it. Now Presley to the near corner. Got around it. Moves in front. The shot. And it deflects just wide. Presley, a great individual effort, but unable to beat Casey. Back comes Bellows. Over the Hawk line. Gave it to Barber cutting in. He couldn't pull the trigger. And it's taken away by Roenick, who will take an icing call here as the Hawks are in need of a player change. They have a tired unit out there.
Well, Wayne Presley, one move, good move to go to his left, and then went the other way to come out of the corner. And then at the last second, when he went to pull the trigger, I believe his shot was deflected. Casey, a one-hand clearing attempt. Presley goes to the boards, cuts back the other way, and his forehand comes out front. And I think a shot just deflected by Chambers at the last second. And wide of Casey at the other end. Bellows on a feed from Modano. Lets it go, and Manson got a piece of it and just deflected it wide of the far post. So an excellent start here to the third period. Both teams with a great pace.
For the same coming up on Tuesday night here in the Met Center. Game 4 between the Hawks and the North Stars. And the anxiety levels, I think, building on both benches, I would think, at this point. And Toronto has caught St. Louis at 5. With a minute and 10 left, Tom Fergus scores to send that game 3 into overtime.
What a critical overtime for the Maple Leafs. They win, they're back in the series. They lose, it could be curtains. But the Leafs are an explosive team. You can never let up with them. They can score goals and punch them.
Savard and Gavin to the right of Millen. Now the draw. To the far side, Larmer gave it to Wilson. Or Creighton on the left side, rolled it ahead, but picked off by Musil. Wilson got it back at center to Larmer. Got it to Creighton over the line, sweeps it back to Larmer, shooting, and a save by Casey, who fought that one off, but got in the way. Now along the boards, the North Stars able to clear it back into the Chicago end. Doug Wilson is on it. Wilson flipped it out to the North Star line. Kurt Giles back for Minnesota. Giles appearing in his 83rd playoff game. Now Bob Murray back into the Minnesota zone. Shoots one. Casey got the piece of it with the glove. Didn't field it cleanly, but no harm done as the North Stars come out. Ulf Dahlen shot it into the Blackhawks zone, taken by Manson. And he got it away to Jocelyn Lemieux. In over the North Star line, Lemieux on Tenorti, a backhander and a save by Casey. Rebound to Minnesota, and Modano able to deflect it out to center ice, where Murphy put it to Modano over the line, got around one check, in traffic now, he's knocked down, and Manson takes it away. Around the boards for Gilbert. Got it to center, Murphy there to Mark Tenorti. Tenorti flipping it in. Taken by Manson. Manson banks it to the neutral zone. Thomas gets to it there, steps over the North Star line, drops it to the near side. Roenick with a shot and a save by Casey. He hasn't caught one cleanly yet here in the third period with the glove, but he's made all three stops on that side. Now still in the Minnesota zone, Casey. Bounce it over to the far side. Duchesne run over by Presley, who steals it. Back of the net to Roenick. The return pass. Casey read the play well and blocked the feed. But the Hawks keep the heat on. Thomas trying to center one, picked off. Finally the North Stars come away. Neil brought over the line to Don Barber. The shot! And Millen may have gotten a piece with a left pass. Now back of the goal, Barber. Had it taken away. Roenick looks to clear, and he does. Get it out to center ice. Minnesota dumping it back in. Now Presley on the right wing boards. Will take an icing call here. Not a bad play. Again, the Hawks in need of a change. Couldn't get one during the play, so they'll accept an icing call. 47 minutes complete. Chicago nothing. Minnesota nothing. It's the Chicago Blackhawk hockey.
Great start here to the third period. Probably the best contest so far of the first three games. Both teams getting a couple of chances, end-to-end action, fast-paced, high-intensity level. No nonsense either. They're both sticking to the game of hockey, and it's been exciting to watch.
Let's talk about something we touched on early in the game, Dale. We talked about the officiating, how much talk there's been about it. I think tonight Bill McCreary started out with maybe a little bit of a tight rein on the game, but don't you feel like as it's gone along, he's really let them play more and more?
Sure has, but I think that they have good memories, these two teams. What happened in the first two games in the early part of the game, they don't want it now to be lost on a power play or a bad penalty.
Pierre Paget suggested that maybe the NHL should get an official from Jupiter to come in and officiate in this series, simply because he would not have any preconceived notions. Tough to argue with the league's approach from the standpoint of all the problems these teams had in the regular season. 700 penalty minutes almost in the series. The pregame brawl. Game 80 was a mess, a 3.5-hour game, so it's pretty tough to argue with the fact that they wanted to clamp down early. They did that, and now here in Game 3 it appears that McCreary has been a little bit more lenient.
Well, he made all the calls in the early in the first, early in the second, and in a scoreless game, in a very important game. A big edge goes to the winner of this game. Scoreless with 12:36 to go. You can ill afford to take a bad penalty.
Now, as a player, having been in a situation like this, a scoreless game almost halfway through the third, isn't there more tension now because there has been no scoring? You figure in another type of game, well, if you make a mistake, maybe you can get one back. It looks like right now one goal might be enough.
That's true, so you have to be very, very smart. Hard to control your emotions sometimes. Expected to raise your level one notch for playoffs, and sometimes you get a little carried away in a retaliatory sense.
Now dumped into the North Star zone. Duchesne tied up in the corner. Tenorti after it. Got a rough ride from Lemieux. 4 players battled in the corner, and McCreary sounds the whistle. So we'll have a face-off in the North Star zone.
What a battle in the corner with Tenorti and Lemieux. 5-5 St. Louis and Toronto in overtime. Winnipeg has taken a 2-1 lead in the third period. Dale Howardchuk, pretty quiet year for Howardchuk. Kept under 90 points. It's a big goal to give Winnipeg Jets a 2-1 lead in the third period. Game 2 went into overtime. The Edmonton Oilers winning that one in overtime to tie the series up. Jets surprising everyone throughout the regular season and doing well in the playoffs up to now.
Troy Murray and Mike Modano for the draw. Murray won it to himself, turning on the far side. And as he tried to get away from Modano, he lost his stick. Pretty tough to operate that way now. Bouncing puck into the slot. The North Stars there, and out comes Tenorti. Gave it to Dahlen, shooting it in. Millen fired it back out to center ice. And it winds up deflecting over the glass and into the crowd.
Well, it's a final score. Winnipeg now takes a 2-1 lead with a 2-1 victory.
So Bob Murdoch's Winnipeg Jets, even though they had a bit of a slow finish, coming up with a huge win in game 1 of the series. It took an overtime goal by the Oilers in game 2 to tie it. And now Winnipeg winning at home, grabbing a 2-1 lead. Savard, Creighton, and Larmer out there for Chicago. Gavin, Gagne, and Aaron Broughton for Minnesota. The draw into the North Star zone. Tenorti and Larmer to the corner. Well, that was Musil rather with Larmer. They'll hold it there, and the whistle sounds. One thing we have to point out about the North Stars, Pierre Paget with the last change at home tonight is an awful lot of the time employed Stuart Gavin as the centerman to check Dennis Savard, and boy, so far that matchup has worked out very nicely for the North Stars.
Well, Stuart Gavin, great legs, can really skate, and has always been a defensive forward. Had a couple of years with 20 or more goals with Hartford. Started his career with Toronto, went to Hartford, had 2 great years in a row with 26 and 20 goals, and then picked up in the waiver draft as Hartford let him go for some reason. He was terrific with the Waiters in a defensive role, and he's filled the role here.
North Stars come out 3-on-2. Here comes Chambers over the line. Centered it. Broughton, a shot deflected. Millen still stopped it. Rebound. Cleared to the line. Not out. Chambers got it to the near corner. Savard has it there. Dennis Savard chipped it up the board. Creighton deflecting it out to center. Now back in his own end, Yanni. Gave it to Larmer. He hacked it ahead, just missing Savard. Winds up in the North Star zone. On the stick of Giles. Kurt Giles got rid of Thomas, clearing it out to center. Hawks dump it back in there. Chambers hacks it up the boards, back to the neutral zone. Here's Conroy. His pass stolen by Wilkinson. Or Barber. Beating Neil Broughton, and Brown stopped him at the Chicago line. Hronik the other way. Puts it in. Thomas on the near board. Side of the net to Presley. He's open there. Walks out in front. Centered it. Bob Murray knocked down. The play goes on as Murray snuck up the slot. And now behind the North Star goal is Tenorti. Tenorti to Neil Broughton. Rolled it to center. Taken there by Manson. Now Sutter knocked down to the neutral zone. And Tenorti unable to advance it. We're halfway through the third period. We have yet to see a red light lit. Still no score in the hockey game. As the North Stars clear at the length, this will be an icing call coming against Minnesota. Halfway through period 3, Chicago nothing, Minnesota nothing. We pause for a regional break. This is Chicago Blackhawk hockey.
Scoreless hockey game. Both teams getting chances, but both goaltenders are excellent. 3-on-2 break, one of the few odd man breaks in the game by both sides. Chambers into Broughton, his shot deflected. And Millen came out and hacked at it after making the shoulder save.
With Dale Talon, Pat Foley in the Met Center along with an SRO crowd. Still no score. Here's Larmer trying to change it. He does. He shoots. He scores! Steve Larmer off the draw. His first shot was deflected. It came right back to him. And Larmer pumped it by Casey after Savard won the draw. 1-0 Chicago.
Savard won it. Gilbert got it back to Larmer. First shot, a wrist shot, didn't get through. It came back to him. This time he took the longer backswing and put it inside the post, beating Casey. Larmer hit Casey in the head, and a two-man advantage in the second period. And he let his first one go. It came back to him as everyone collapsed, and then he made no mistake on the second one with Savard in front. Gagne stayed with Savard, but it created more traffic in front. I don't think Casey saw it.
Here comes Gavin now for Minnesota with a wrist shot. Glove actually sailed by the glove of Millen. Now Gilbert able to clear it to center, and Larmer got it to Wilson, who flips it in. Taken by Chambers. Got it to center. Aaron Broughton put it into the Blackhawks zone. Taken by Conroy. Around the board, too far for Roenick, and Tenorti with a big hit on him at center, and Roenick is shaken up. Jeremy Roenick's hurt. The play is continuing. Roenick laboring to get to the Hawk bench, dragging his left leg behind him. Here comes McDonald for Minnesota up the slot to Dahlen. He shoots, and a save by Millen, and then the rebound hit the post. A rebound came loose. It appeared. It looked like Millen thought the play was dead. The shot eventually hit the post after apparently no whistle. And finally Millen locating it to freeze it.
Well, McCreary was well off the play. It was just inside the far blue line along the boards, and when the save was made, it looked like it was under Millen. I think everyone let up. Roenick nailed. Dahlen has the puck come to his skates. Millen looks behind him, not sure where the puck is. It seems to be under him, and then Murphy, I think, came in and hit the goalpost. I think everyone thought the whistle had blown, but meanwhile Tenorti hits Millen, or I should say Roenick, and Roenick trying to skate it off, but unable to, and limps off to the bench. It appears to be his left leg. It hit at first. It looked like it might be a shoulder problem, but he is in some pain as Tenorti took the body on him and went right at him, with Roenick taking the hit to make the play. Well, 2 goal posts by the North Stars and 1 by the Blackhawks. That last one by Murphy after it appeared that the Blackhawks relaxed, thinking the whistle had blown.
Down the Chicago zone, Dahlen behind the net, battling there with Brown. Creighton in as well. They'll hold it, and the whistle sounds. 8.5 to go in the third. Chicago 1, Minnesota nothing. We pause for a regional break. This is Chicago Blackhawk hockey.
8.5 to go. The Blackhawks with a 1-0 lead. The only goal coming on Steve Larmer's blast from inside the dot, just under the glove of Casey. And the Blackhawks clinging now to a 1-goal margin. Steve Larmer's first of the playoffs, 26th of his career, and 7th in 15 or 17 games against the North Stars.
The game in Toronto is over. The Blues 6, the North Stars 5. Sergio Momesso, the game winner for St. Louis. And the Blues lead the series 3 games to nothing.
Well, the Blues limped into the playoffs, finished poorly, but come out of the gate flying with 3 straight wins. A big overtime win for them, a tough loss for Toronto.
That's a huge win for the Blues after they had the lead in the third. Toronto came back to time with just over a minute left. But Momesso puts the Blues on the brink of advancing to meet the winner of this series.
A lot of confusion here. The Blackhawks on their face-off. Keenan screaming from the bench.
Here's the draw. Wilkinson, a race shot. Tip, Millen, rebound. They score. Is it a goal? Yes, it is. Bill McCreary says it's a goal, or does he say no? He's pointing into the net as if it's a goal. Still a lot of talk. There's no firm decision here by McCreary at all, or no firm movement, I should say.
McCreary's been a little slow with the whistle on 3 times now on Millen.
Face off in the Hawk zone. No goal. It appeared that Millen might have had it held long enough for a whistle, and Bill McCreary, I don't understand why he didn't wave his arms immediately if there should have been no goal.
The third time in this on Millen that he's had slow whistles when he's appeared Millen has had the puck frozen. The last one, Murphy pried it loose and hit the post. Bellows early in the first period had it happen, and then this one off the post. Millen seems to have it frozen. They got their arms up saying across the line. Gagne thought he had scored, but McCreary's right there pointing that it had not gone in. We'll take a look from behind the net. A different perspective. The puck hacked at.
That should have been a goal.
Well, we couldn't tell from that angle if it crossed the line because when Gagne cut in front of the camera, you couldn't see.
Well, let's put it this way. If it crossed the line, which I believe it did, it should have been a goal.
Well, you can't tell. How do you know it crossed the line? Here's where it's hacked at. Off the post and up. Millen dives back.
It hit Millen on as he was leaning back.
Savard put his stick there and tucked it under. Gagne put his arms up, and no official there to see it. And you can't tell from any angle if the puck across the line.
Can we look at that behind the net again? And McCreary talking with the goal judge over the telephone. Bill McCreary seemed to point into the net as a referee would do if a goal were to be allowed. That's what confused me. He never did wave his arms. The question may be, did it completely cross the line? I thought Millen had it frozen. With the benefit of a replay, we can see that he did not. Did the puck cross the goal line completely?
Well, it hit the post, hacked at by Gagne, and the puck, as it's going on the line, Gagne cuts in front. We can't see. Wilson comes crashing in. The puck appears to be on the line. It has to be completely across the line to be a goal. Meanwhile, they're showering the ice with debris, and McCreary late in making the call, and it seemed to be indecisive. But he's been slow. That's the third time that there's been some controversy. Millen appeared to have one on Dahlin. Under his pad, Bellows came in and poked at it. They ruled that the whistle blown. And then, not too long ago, when Millen made the save, brought on Dahlin once again, Murphy came in. When the Hawks relaxed thinking the whistle had blown, Murphy hacked at it, hit the post, and then this last one, and Paget, it's like his eyes are going to pop right out of his head.
Well, we're going to have quite a delay here as the officials talk it over. The crowd, as Dale mentioned, has tossed some garbage onto the ice. It'll take a little bit for that to get cleaned up, and if Pierre Paget, if anybody stuck a pin in him right now, he'd explode. And who can blame him? A tightly contested hockey game, a one-goal game, and for a moment the North Stars thought they had tied it, when to their dismay they find out they have not. With 8.5 to go in the third period, it's Chicago 1, Minnesota nothing. This is Chicago Blackhawk hockey.
Well, it's amazing these two teams get together. There's always something that happens. The last playoff series against these two teams, take a look at it again. Rod goes crashing into Millen. The puck's wedged up against the side, hacked at by Gagne. The puck appears to be going across the line. Gagne cuts in front of the camera. You can't see the puck from this angle. Looks like it's still touching the line. And then Savard comes in and sweeps it under Millen. But McCreary was not in the best angle to see. Meanwhile, the Blackhawk goal scored by Larmer was off the draw just prior to this. And on his second attempt, he was able to get it by Casey. But the fans upset, and just a late call by McCreary.
Well, we thought we'd have a dandy third period. It has not disappointed us, and as usual, something a little out of the ordinary often creeps in when the Blackhawks and the North Stars lock horns. A huge dispute on a situation where the North Stars thought they had tied the game, and the Blackhawks are able to retain the lead.
It was amazing, though, that before the faceoff, there was all kinds of confusion on the faceoff set up for the Blackhawks. Keenan pointing dramatically towards the players to get them switched around. He didn't like the alignment. The The puck was dropped. They were still confused. They weren't all in position, trying to figure out where they should be. And it almost ended up being a tying goal. A very controversial situation, but McCreary was not really dramatic in his motion. He didn't signal no goal or goal. It didn't seem to. Took him forever really to make up his mind. There's still a lot of time remaining, though. 8.5 minutes. And hold on. This is going to be a great finish. Meanwhile, Winnipeg beat Edmonton and Toronto beat, or I should say St. Louis beat Toronto in overtime. They take a 3-0 lead. Winnipeg has a 2-1 lead.
Well, the crowd trying to rev it up as we get ready to play. Face off to the left of Millen. Troy Murray and Modano. Modano got the draw to Wilkinson. A wrist shot goes wide. Now Giles a long shot. Millen the save through traffic. Rebound to Chicago. And it's cleared out to center ice, where Gilbert whacks it into the Minnesota end. Taken by Giles. To the right wing boards, off Dahlin. His pass is picked off. And Wilkinson got it back to Kurt Giles. Puts it down into the Chicago zone. Manson clearing it right back the other way. And Giles will have to get back for it. Now shot back into the Chicago end. Here's Manson. Gave it to Creighton. And Adam Creighton shot it into the North Star zone. They rule he had not reached center ice. It'll be an icing call against Chicago here. 7.5 minutes left to go in the third period.
These last minutes of important games in playoffs and 1-goal differentials, now it boils down to good face-off play. Who wins the most face-offs really ends up winning these types of games, and that's what it's going to boil down to. Offensively, the North Stars looking to get face-offs for scoring chances. The Blackhawks, on the other hand, trying to win face-offs to kill time and get out of some trouble in their own zone.
Troy Murray and Neil Broughton will go after this draw. Which Broughton wins to the line. A long shot didn't get through, and Conroy tries Gilbert on the near side. Couldn't get it out. Bellows knocked down by Lemieux from behind. He steals it. Here's Lemieux into the North Star zone, shooting up off the glass. Now Troy Murray behind the net for Gilbert, trying to center it. Nobody home in front for Chicago. Casey picks it off in the meantime and gets the whistle. 7 minutes left.
Jocelyn Lemieux having a physical game, a physical series, and a physical finish to the season. Ran over Bellows from behind, and the fans were upset there was no penalty call, and then broke up the left wing and had a shot deflect. 27 shots for the North Stars, 10 in this period, 26 for the Blackhawks, 9 in this period. Greg Gilbert appears to have injured his shoulder.
And Mike Keenan just went over and pushed the camera away. Come on, Mike, you can't hide everything. Here's the draw, cleared out to center ice. Larmer chases back into Savard. He centered it, didn't get through to Thomas, and Chambers bounced it out to center ice. Now Wilson dumping it back in. Cleared it around the boards. Now Larmer, his pass deflecting to Thomas, who centers one. Savard. Casey keeps his team in with a brilliant post-to-post save. Now Chambers clearing it out to center. Aaron Broughton dumps it in from there. Manson back. Dave Manson to Bob Murray for Creighton at center ice. Creighton over the North Star line, taking off the puck. Out comes Dahlin to Modano into the Chicago zone. Mike Modano turns to the near side, got rid of a check, a long shot up off the glass. And Presley clears not out. Then Creighton does carry it out to the neutral area where he'll dump it in as the Hawks, in their usual pattern of short shifts in the third period, make a change here. And Giles shot it to center ice. Duchesne puts Wilkinson over the Chicago line. Bounce one toward the net. Millen was careful with it to Conroy. Now Lemieux. Jocelyn Lemieux. Got tied up by Bellows. Barber the other way. In on Brown. A bouncing puck rolled to the doorstep. Millen hacked it out. Now Tenorti with a backhander block. Cleared in behind the Hawk goal. Tenorti. And the goal comes off the moorings. The fans hollering as there were no North Stars around the net. But Millen, a little off balance, backed into his own goal, and McCreary says it'll be okay. 5.5 to go in the third. Chicago 1, Minnesota nothing. This is Chicago Blackhawk hockey.
Well, John Casey keeps his team in, and Dennis Savard gets a great feed from Steve Thomas on the far side. Pinpoint pass right onto the tape, and Casey just gets enough of it with the skate, thwarting Blackhawks' second goal-scoring chance. And at the other end, Millen kicks at a puck, and in the process knocks the net off the moorings. He was off balance. He's already gotten one penalty for delay of game, but that clearly was an accidental knock off the net. While Paget up on the bench screaming at the official. Now the faceoff will go to the neutral zone.
Now the draw taken by Doug Wilson. Flipped it out to center. Gilbert back on the ice, so whatever that last little difficulty was, he's playing through it. Now Bellows stopped by Wilson as he got to the line. Then Wilson is knocked down on top of the puck. And Savard taking exception to Neil Broughton, who he felt got the stick up on Wilson. Linesman Ron Finn in there keeping everybody apart, as well as the Bear, Ron Asseltine.
Wilson falling on top of the puck just inside the line. He hacks at it. It's behind Bellows, and it was an offside situation anyway. He falls on top of it, and then got clipped in the side of the head. They talked about tension. Doug Wilson in a 1-0 hockey game, third game of the playoffs, and his wife Kathy expecting their fourth child any minute.
Judging by the sizes of their first 3 children at birth, she's probably a little tense too. There's the draw taken by Bob Murray. Cleared it to center ice. Now flipped back in, taken by Gavin, stops on the near side. Here's the shot. Bob Murray blocked it, trickling in front, and Adam Creighton able to locate it there. Creighton rolls it back into the North Star zone. Now Presley in behind the net, digs it out. Presley trying to muscle his way in front. He shoots, he scores! Wayne Presley muscled in front of the net, stick handle around Casey, stuffed in a backhander, and Presley makes it 2-0 Chicago.
Well, Wayne Presley loves the playoffs. A chance for him to recover from a subpar regular season. A great playoff last year. 2 goals in game 2 after sitting out game 1. Great stick handling maneuver around Chambers, then puts it to his backhand. Casey down and out, and he tucks it in to give the Hawks a 2-0 lead. First Thomas eludes the check, leaves the puck for Presley. Presley faked. Chambers went for it, and then out onto the backhand. Another nice move by Presley, who's been stick handling wizard-like here in this third game, and he scores to give the Blackhawks a 2-0 lead. Well, he put on a display earlier in the game and almost resulted in a goal for Presley, and boy, what a happy man he is after a 6-goal regular season.
Well, he beat Chambers cleanly, and then stick handling around the goaltender also. Wayne Presley's 3rd goal, 9th of the year, makes it 2-0 Hawks, and here's Millen in his own end around the boards. Gilbert chipped it away to Savard, 2-on-1. Savard with Larmer, in on Tenorti. Savard faking, now shooting, hit the goal post. Savard stick handle around Casey and banks it off the far post. the North Stars still with a breath of hope as they dump it in. But we're down to 4 minutes left in the third. 2-0 Chicago as Conroy got it to Lemieux. He'll dump it in. Larry Murphy back. Got a bump behind the net, but got away from Troy Murray. Now to Neil Broughton, sending it ahead. Barber in ahead of the play. The offside whistle blows. 3.5 left in regulation time. 2-0 Chicago. This is Chicago Blackhawk hockey. Pat Foley in the Mets center. The North Stars going to have to go to the full court press here. Down 2-0. Almost down to 3 minutes remaining. Here comes Barber to the near corner. Took a hit there from Conroy, and again the Hawk goal dislodged as Broughton and Brown went bumping into Millen, and the goal came loose.
It's amazing. It hasn't happened that often in the playoffs compared to the regular season. Dennis Savard had a great opportunity when it was 1-0, thwarted by Casey's save. 2-on-1 break after the Hawks made it 2-0. Fake. Tenorti frozen by it. Casey goes for the move. Savard has him beaten, an empty net, and off the goalpost and out under Casey. So the North Stars still with some life. Down only 2-0 with 3 minutes and 7 seconds to go. Savard, who has an assist tonight's game, now has 101 career points.
Let me put you behind the North Star bench. 3 minutes left. You're down 2 goals. When do you think about pulling the goaltender here?
Well, about a minute and a half to go, I would think, or, you know, depending on how the flow's going, maybe 2 minutes.
Here comes Larmer out with it. Steve Larmer over the Minnesota line, leaves it for Lemieux. The shot and a save by Casey. Rebound Aaron Broughton. Now Broughton got it to the Hawk line where Gagne moves in, but Broughton had stepped in ahead of the play. And a little bumping again after a whistle, but players starting to cool off. Dennis Savard, as we touched on earlier tonight, did not see a whole lot of ice time in Game 2. He's had a pile of it here in Game 3. And as we expected, Savard, while just having an assist in the game, has been a much bigger force here tonight than he was in the second game of the series, or really in Game 1 for that matter.
Well, he's had to duel with Gagne and Gavin most of the night. He made a good defensive play in that last play. He forced Broughton to the near side, and then Doug Wilson took a run at him, forced him to overhandle it. An extra move created the offside.
Now here's the draw. Back into the Chicago zone. Bounce loose to the line, taken by Larmer. Pushed it into the North Star zone. 2.5 minutes left to go. Kurt Giles got help from Wilkinson. Wilkinson lost it to Gilbert. Lifted back of the Minnesota net. Now Giles. Wilkinson starting away. Neil Wilkinson unable to get it in deep. Bob Murray feeds Troy Murray. The Sutter over the line. His shot up off the glass, comes to the near side and gathered in by Barber. Gave it to Larry Murphy in over the line. Here's a quick 3-on-2. He shoots, and it's blocked by Conroy with a good defensive play. Cleared to center. Thomas couldn't quite get to the loose puck. 1:40 left to go. Here comes Murphy over the Hawk line. Flipped it in front, just too far for Neil Broughton. Barber to the near corner. Got it loose to Murphy. Still, Casey remains in the Minnesota net as this one is cleared to center ice. Now Chambers has trouble with Creighton, but able to bounce it loose, and Neil Broughton is there. Now to Chambers, leading Barber, who got it over the line to Bellows, cutting in the shot and a save by Millen. Here comes Casey to the bench. 6 skaters for Minnesota. Now Conroy able to clear it back into the North Star zone. Icing waved off, and we're down to 60 seconds remaining in the third period. 2-0 in favor of the Blackhawks. North Stars dump it in. Here's Millen out of the net. Pushed it into the corner. Dowling after it there. Got help from Madano. Put it in behind the net. A centering pass. Deflects to the far side. Duchesne. Bounce it loose. Dowling side of the goal. Center one. Millen rebound. Millen again. He stopped and they score. He stopped Gagne. Then Modano picked up the rebound. And it's 2-1. Minnesota with 36 seconds has hope. Mike Modano in a goal mouth scramble finally dents the net, and the Hawk lead is 2-1.
Oh, great fault, Greg Millen. One save on Gagne, another brilliant save on Gagne in the third attempt. Modano finally buries it under the crossbar for his first goal in playoff competition, and life still for the North Stars with 36 seconds to go. But Greg Millen did everything possible there as Modano on the third attempt finally buried it with a perfect shot under the crossbar.
Mike Modano making no mistake to score his first career playoff goal, and it gives the North Stars some hope here with 36 seconds left. Welcome to those of you who've been watching LA and Calgary play through a scoreless first period. Pat Foley and Dale Talon here in the Met Center. Chicago leading Minnesota 2-1. And what sort of a different flavor would this game have if a disputed goal that the North Stars thought they had scored to tie it would have been allowed? It was not by referee Bill McCreary. And sure we'll be able to have a look at that maybe when we get a second, but in the meantime, Minnesota still will go for the full court press here. They're going to face it off without a goaltender. And they'll just start right away with 6 attackers and 36 seconds to go in the third.
An interesting situation. Well, maybe the goaltender might be halfway just in case, but Bagier going without the goaltender as they scored to make it 2-1 without the goaltender. Modano scoring on the third opportunity after Gagne got robbed twice by Millen. Now Troy Murray is going to be thrown out of the faceoff.
All right, now ready. Here's the draw taken by Chambers. Bounced it loose, and the North Stars dump it in. Back is Conroy, cleared it not out. Dowling moving and shooting, deflected through the slot. And Troy Murray rolled it out to center ice. Then it's chopped over the glass with 20 seconds left to go in regulation time.
Well, a big deflection there as Gilbert, or I should say Conroy, up behind the back blind clearing attempt kept in by the North Stars, and the pass across deflected.
When the Hawks had a 1-0 lead, here's what happened. Is this a goal or not? A goal mouth scramble. It got to the line off a Gagne stuff attempt, banking it off Millen, and Bill McCreary seemed to be, he did not make any motion right away whether it was a washout no goal or pointing into the net whether it should have been allowed. And after consulting with his linesman and the goal judge, it was not allowed. And boy, what a difference that makes now with a 2-1 Chicago lead. 20 seconds to go. Here's the draw. Back in his own end, Brown. Looking to clear with help from Troy Murray. He did. Rolls loose at center. Gilbert heading for the empty net, and he shot it wide with a backhander. Minnesota clears to center. Conroy broke up the rush there. The North Stars are run out of time. The Hawks have won. The Chicago Blackhawks, after dropping the opening game of the series at home, came from a 3-0 deficit to win game 2 and tie the series. And tonight, a shutout game for the first 50 minutes before Steve Larmer scored. Then Wayne Presley scored for a 2-0 lead. Modano got Minnesota close. That's all the closer they could get. And the Blackhawks sneak out with a 2-1 victory on the road. In the third period, Minnesota 15 shots, Chicago 12, 32-29. The North Stars outshoot Chicago for the game. And in the period, after playing 50 minutes of scoreless hockey, Steve Larmer fired a hard shot underneath the glove of Casey for his first playoff goal, 32nd of the year. Savard and Gilbert assisting off a face-off at 10-12. Then the disputed no goal by the North Stars was followed by a Wayne Presley score, a great individual effort to score his third goal of the series. 9th of the year, Creighton and Thomas assisting in 15-27, and then moments ago, Mike Modano on a goal mouth scramble, his first ever playoff goal from Gagne and Dallin at 19-24. But the Blackhawks have won the game and have taken the lead in the series. 2-1 tonight and 2-1 in the series. Back in a moment. Is that phone going to... A thrilling game in the Met Center tonight. Chicago sneaks out with a 2-1 victory. Our Budweiser player of the game, Greg Millen, facing 32 North Star shots, stopping 31 of them. A shutout eluded him as the North Stars scored in the final minute to get close. And just a dandy game. A couple of goal posts hit. All sorts of controversy surrounding a no-goal called against the North Stars when they thought they had tied the game. After Chicago had taken a 1-0 lead, here's the disputed play.
Aaron Broughton went crashing into Millen. The puck jammed up against the side of the net. Gagne from behind the net hacked at it. It hit the post. Millen dove across. The puck appeared to be going across the line, and we couldn't see, and then Savard came in and pulled it away from him. The puck appeared to be touching the line. Didn't appear from that angle to be totally across the line, though it was difficult to say, but they ruled no goal. The Hawks had a 1-0 lead at that point, came back on a great individual effort by Wayne Presley, who had another spectacular night. Steve Thomas forechecking, dumps it as he gets it by Musil. Now Presley faked like he was going to go back to his right, cut back to his left, came back out on the forehand, pulled it to his backhand, beat Chambers, and then tucked it in neatly past Casey. And a great individual effort for his third goal in the last two games, and that appeared to be the game winner. It gave the Blackhawks a 2-0 lead, and then with the goaltender gone, a late goal with just under 30 seconds to go. Modano made it 2-1 after Millen stopped Gagne twice. But great work from the total team. Great goaltending by both goaltenders. Millen was brilliant. Some great penalty killing, and the most exciting game, obviously, the first three.
Well, it certainly was. It also had more flow to it than either of the first two games, the penalty-filled first two games. And tonight, Bill McCreary did not call a penalty in the third period. So maybe the grip loosening on the part of the officials, and certainly I don't think you can fault them for trying to call it tight based on regular season play. They wanted to try to avoid any outbursts like these teams had a couple of times during the season. But here in the third game, they had a better chance to play. They went end-to-end a couple of times, and as usual, one of the best rivalries in the league provides thrilling entertainment.
Well, no, a scoreless game going into the third period. You can ill afford to take a bad penalty, so they just stuck to basics, played great hockey. Both teams with quality chances, end-to-end action, and both goaltenders coming up with big saves. Savard got robbed a couple of times, but he finally won a draw to set up Larmer. Another strong performance by Larmer. But Greg Millen, after being yanked, really came back in a strong fashion. That shows a lot of class and character in his part.
Well, he's not alone. The Blackhawk team all year long has showed a pretty good degree of resiliency, if not always against their opponents. Sometimes their coach has gotten under their skin, and they've learned to work through a lot of tough situations, and they're reaping the benefits of that right now.
Well, conditioning's always been preached to them. They've always had a great record, especially this year, protecting the lead. And, you know, they talk about short shifts. He used everyone. He went with a bigger bench than he has in the first two games, and it worked for them. They might have lost Jeremy Roenick, though. That might be a costly win for them. He limped off on a crushing check from Tenorti, but hopefully he'll be all right because Roenick had a strong game as well.
Well, he was not alone. The Blackhawks grab a 2-1 lead in the series. More of the same on Tuesday night. We're back here in the Met Center with a 7:20 radio pregame, 7:30 on television. Your final score tonight from the Met Center in a dandy. Chicago 2, Minnesota 1. Game 4, Tuesday night here in the Met Center. The Hawks and the North Stars will have it at 7:30. Executive producer tonight has been Steve Corman. It's been produced by Lisa Seltzer. Directed by Warren Pick. Tomorrow on Sports Channel, the Wales Conference playoffs. The Rangers meet the Islanders at 6:30, followed by same-night coverage of Hartford and Boston. Coming up now, more NHL playoff action. Calgary meeting L.A. They were scoreless at the end of one. For Dale Talon, Pat Foley, hoping you enjoy the broadcast. We know you enjoyed the outcome. Chicago takes a 2-1 lead in the series by winning tonight 2-1. The preceding has been an exclusive presentation of Sports Channel.
Good chances, good goaltending, but no scores. Second period coming up.
Got a cold? Gotta keep going? Gotta go with Alka-Seltzer Plus cold medicine. When you gotta keep going, you gotta go with Alka-Seltzer Plus.
Nothing moves you. Mercury Topaz is an investment you'll want to ride for quite a while. One that pays daily dividends to families. With assets like a 2.3-liter fuel-injected engine and plenty of comfort to go around. Mercury Topaz. It's good news for small investors.
See your dealer now for low financing or special savings on 1990 Mercury Topaz GS.
I was looking for something a little bigger. I'll take it.
When the moment comes to start life on your own, there's no better card than MasterCard.
It's just the bare necessity.
With payment flexibility and unsurpassed acceptance. So you can buy what you want.
What is this?
Where you want. For the way we really live.
So what do you think of my play?
It's definitely you.
MasterCard. Master the moment.
The 1990 Stanley Cup playoffs on Sports Channel America are brought to you by U.S. Sprint and its new world of telecommunications. By First Brands Corporation, makers of STP oil treatment. STP is the edge. By your Toyota dealers and their quality line of cars and trucks. Toyota, I love what you do for me. And by Prudential, come to the companies of the Prudential and build your future on the rock.
Just underway, second period, scoreless game. Gretzky fakes the drive, finesses for a shot by Blake, and it went off of net for center. He passed, they score! Sandstrom! And there's more after the goal. Some shoving in the corner, but one healthy sign is that that's the furthest we've seen Wayne Gretzky bring a stick back. Yet, he faked the slapper, then finessed the pass, and we'll watch it all unfold once more.
You know, this is his best rush of the game. He only had a few shifts in the first period, but what a nice drop to Rob Blake. Mike Vernon got it, but it went to the side. You know, when it went out front, Doug Gilmour, I thought, was going to get it, and I think he may have gotten a piece of it, but not before Sandstrom could put it in the long side. Watch Vernon get back.